What is up, guys? It's your boy Aniki. We got Rex and East already loaded in the chamber. Starting My Hero Academia Chapter 270. I've seen a lot of hype. I had probably 4 or 5 pages worth of spoiler words on Twitter, and it was still close. Y'all
Yeah.
wild. Y'all can't be
What if
trusted.
can't at all? What
And
if
you
you
crack addicted fiends like Brother Rex need to get it together.
Yo, let me tell you.
with
So
the
East,
devils on their shoulders?
so East didn't post to like beware of the spoilers thing, right? So I wasn't even thinking about the chapter at all. Like I was hyped for it, but I was like, if nobody ever says anything about it, I never go out there and look for it. Dustin texted me. It was like, "Yo, you seen the spoilers?" And I said, "Shit, I gotta go look at them now." Because I didn't know they was out, and I wasn't gonna look for them. I don't openly look for spoilers, but when
Listen,
anyone ever mentions it, I gotta look for it.
man, I tell you, addicts make the best excuse, the most bullshit excuse I've ever heard of my life. Addicts make the best excuses. Like
They
they have
do.
no shame
It's not an
whatsoever.
it's not an excuse. I'm just telling you what it is. I'm
Yeah,
not I'm not
Uh-huh.
I'm not I'm not asking for repentance or acceptance for my actions. I'm just letting you know when y'all say something, it makes me go out and find it. Don't ever say nothing about the spoilers, and I will never read them.
Uh-huh.
Plain and simple.
All right. Let's start the chapter. We got President Mike Holland, the old doctor. The Nomu follow your commands, yeah. Call off the rampaging ones out there. Get up, you're coming with me. You get Shigaraki, X-Class. Got it. The machine's making noise. He's looking scared. More noise. What's that machine? The troops must have shielded it from damage. I better destroy it just to be safe.
see, XS was using his damn brain.
Yeah. I would have, yeah. I'm surprised he didn't just start blasting. 70 years ago, the world mocked me and my theory, my paranormal singularity theory. They said it was irrational nonsense based on weak evidence. Everyone ignored me. In those days, when the world was struggling to end the turmoil and reclaim peace, nobody wanted to hear about another terrible collapse in the far future. Nowadays, the Quirk singularity theory is considered fringe thinking reserved for cults. The scholar who presented it went missing soon after. They said he died a few years later. He'd have to be over 120 years old at this point. Right, of course. I was ostracized with nowhere to live. In my wretched state, he was the only one who reached out. See, this is why I don't like when people clown AFO caring about people and like him having a genuine relationship. They've been riding for 70 years or 60.
Just about 70 years.
For some reason, with his overwhelming presence and Buddha-like smile, he appeared as a god incarnate walking among men. I suddenly got the feeling that I'd rather not be touching this group. My quirk doubles my lifespan while sacrificing physical mobility. Life force. The disgust I'm feeling. I presented my quirk as an offering to him. The quirk inside me now is just a duplicate of my original. Is overwhelming my rage. Could that be the same quirk that kept all for one alive this long? You. You're Kurogiri's friend, aren't you? Back then, I really wanted to get my hands on Erasure instead. Right now.
Niggas he
Hold,
was
see,
setting
hold
folks
up!
I told niggas he was setting folks up, bro. He got
Right
the
now.
in the school, bro.
I'm too close for comfort to something seriously revolting. Whoa.
Yo,
Horikoshi, what are you doing?
wait, this is so much better than the actual Scantly. Yo, whoa, hold on. This is my first time seeing it.
Oh, for real?
Yo.
Bro, the Viz went, bro. The Viz went fucking crazy in every regard.
Also, I'm sorry, dear artist. I am sorry that Horikoshi is so mean to you.
Yeah, the hands is crazy, bro.
Like the amount of times people are like, "Oh, like I hate drawing hands," and first off, this is more. Horikoshi was like, "I destroyed. I gave him 10 hands. I destroyed 9 of them. Let me draw like 20 of these hoes real quick to remind you who the boss is." What the fuck? This spread is nutty.
When people say that Horikoshi don't potentially have the best art in Jump, I'll be like, come on, man.
This art is dog.
Crazy. It's crazy. I'm seeing it for the first time with you, bro. This is insane.
Nah, I peeped the Viz. I was like, bro, because it was going brazy in the fucking scan. I looked at the Viz again. I said, no.
Where am I?
No. Inception.
Daddy said all that stuff, but don't worry. I'm on your side, Tanko. Hana, sorry about that. I shouldn't have done that. I was the one who said it had to be a secret. Sorry. Oh, that. Whatever. That stuff doesn't matter anymore. Tenko, do you still want to be a hero? Tenko, you've rubbed your eyes all ragged. It'll only get itchier if you keep scratching. I'm okay now, Mom. Tenko, did you sneak into my study?
All right, hold on real quick before you continue. Right here, I just want to say that this is further evidence, I think, in my opinion, that he actually cared about the rest of his family besides his father. Because he's accepting it. Because people still had to think like he's, I may have wanted to kill him all from the start. But like this shows you that with Hana, he's like, yo, it is what it is. His mom, he like when he was talking to his mom, he reverted back to a kid. But as soon as he sees his father, you can see him changing. Like,
yeah.
I never got why people thought he didn't care for his family in the first place. It was obvious he cared for his damn family. He was wondering why nobody helped me. It's only one person abusing him in his house and everybody else sticking up for him. He hated everybody by the end, supposedly, but that's just words.
They were like half-assed sticking up for him, but he still cared about him. They still gave him some shreds of comfort. Dog, Horikoshi is like flexing though, because you got his dad's hand, the palm coming down. This is what I always said. Like the one that he wore on his face was the one that tried to like snuff him out, and just reaches out. This dog.
Can you imagine this premium animation? Like
dog, Bones is sitting here like dog, cigarette in hand, just.
Yeah, Bones is like stressing out right now because this is crazy.
Them niggas getting Nakamura ahead of time for like 3 years. 3 years ahead of time. Like, hey man, we gonna need you, man, on payroll. Let me talk to you real quick.
Tomura, master, you're looking like Kurogiri now. To me, now. Completion status, 75%. He foresaw his downfall and entrusted all he had to his successor. He even chose to pass on his quirk. So just like I once did for him, he took a duplicate of his quirk for himself and gave the original to Tomura Shigaraki. Oh, shit!
Let's go!
Hold up. I need all my people that was like, AFO doesn't care. AFO doesn't care. He doesn't care about Shigaraki. They're not really friends. He doesn't love him. No, nigga. Nigga. This Mijito. He was like, Mijito, I give you a gift. Oh, my God. And you got the family grabbing him. Ooh, the mom's hands on the neck. Stop. Tenko coming out of the All for One's chest. That's symbolic on a whole other level when you think about like the man who killed his grandma has his father popping out of him, but he replaced the father. Dog. Layers. All right. Don't ever forget. No!
Yeah, man.
Enough.
She was the hand on the back of the head.
How many reveals we get in this chapter, dog? It's like, bro.
Oh, bro. Don't reject who I am. Dog. Wow. But he's coming. He's coming. Yo! Hold up. Where Dustin at? Nah, bro. Where Dustin? Hold up.
Oh, when he was on Twitter saying the chapter wasn't all that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said,
No,
bro. You can't trust Dustin for hype, man.
But this is what I found out. Dustin, at this point in Critically, he's a meathead, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. He said he wanted carnage. He thought carnage was happening already. So from his viewpoint, is one of the few times I'm like, okay, because at least he gave it an 8. I was gonna be highly upset. This thing gave like a 6 or a 7, but he gave it at least an 8. So, but he thought, under his impression, he thought the bodies were already dropping, but the bodies drop next chapter. So
Duh. Hold up. Because that's an important reveal. Because this all, okay, first of all, this means that duplication technology has existed for a while.
Yes.
Oh, wow. They've been doing this shit for quite a minute, bro.
But my question is, when did he give All for One to Shigaraki?
During this experiment.
Yeah.
But how?
He had the quirk. You know how he has the vials of quirks? He had All for One.
See, because I always thought that
It had
trying to
to be
figure-
transferred like it had to be transferred like one for all, right? You figured it had to be transferred since they're basically the same quirk, or essentially how he passes on quirks. You think it had to be some like physical thing to it, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's
I
like,
mean, we don't know all the specifics though, because it could be like he needed certain things to even activate it in the first place, or this, that, and other, because we don't fully know, right? So my thing is, I'm waiting. Like I could pull some theories, but I'm mainly just waiting.
The way I look at it is, go ahead.
Like the thing that's like tripping me out here is that like to a certain degree, if that's literally how it worked, that means that quirks can be like taken out and held as like a physical manifested thing. That's why I'm like, wait.
Oh, we saw that with the quirks in the like little vials that he had in the beginning of the arc.
Yeah, but like those were like, I thought those were all duplicates. Like I pretty much thought those like Chip were like essentially like little slides where he effectively had like the DNA strands coded, or like in something like that. I didn't think he could take someone's like literal quirk and just like put it in a jar.
I mean, I figured he could because the high ends. I'm pretty sure he wasn't using duplicates for all those. Because I'm pretty sure All for One has his taste. So I'm pretty sure he wasn't just taking every quirk he's seen.
Well, yeah, I figured he was like just like taking and moving them though, like when you're building an RPG character.
Yeah. Okay.
So like I figured he was still just like taking them when it was like easy, and they just say what?
What was that noise? It's like a dog drinking water and in a bowl and in a wrapper at the same time. I know that's coming from Rex.
Don't worry about it, East. Don't worry about it, sweetheart. Don't worry about it.
Oh no, that is my bathtub dropping like single drops though. Hold on.
Yeah, and I was opening up some chimichangas.
This nigga Rex.
Dude, this one you was talking about the water. I was like, what are you talking about? That ain't me. Whatever.
It's okay. Somebody's gonna come in here and start making noise soon, probably. Then I'm gonna be the one on chopping block. But let's go back. Let's start from scratch one. First of all, going back to the theory, Nezu is on Aniki shit. Nezu is a traitor. That fucking red sun shit. That mole shit. Because this is my thing. Like he said back in the day, this nigga said UA is basically a quirk buffet for scraps. This means he has been doing this shit, getting quirks from UA for quite a while, and they're supposed to be a traitor, right? So you mean to tell me it can't be? So you mean to tell me it's one of these new kids, although he been in the bank?
Yeah, no. I'm glad you said that because like you were like Aniki, and I was like, and then you were like Red Sun, and I was like, oh yeah, I definitely compared that to Young Justice. Like, yeah, that has to be it at this point. Because it was even directly stated Nezu was horribly experimented on, and that like a really cruel and sadistic side of his personality came out. So yeah, no, like this.
Wait, could the doctor have experimented on him?
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
The doctor's a sicko. Like he creating these Nomu and stuff like that. But this is like they said, Nezu's a rare quirk hybrid, and then his quirk is literally being the smartest nigga ever. So you mean to tell me his quirk being the smartest nigga ever, essentially? And he can't figure out who the traitor is? Because that's the only one backhand off in way we can get it.
Yeah, because and think about what he said, though. He literally said, I could be the traitor and not even know it. And I think he's factored that in, and he's figured out that he's the traitor, but he hasn't figured out how to stop himself from being the traitor. Because it could be that he's got like a programming loop, so as soon as he figures it out and like, it's like, okay, I could go, it like immediately erases the final thing.
Okay, so what I want to say is that even if the principal is the traitor and Nezuko is the traitor, that doesn't mean the student isn't also a traitor. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. Like somebody could have been recruited to go into UA, as well as Nezuko. So
Oh
they can
yeah,
have
that's.
the. Go ahead.
Oh, my fault. You got it. My fault. You finished.
I was about
Then
to
I
say
go.
that because if Nezuko's like a sleeper agent, they would still need an active agent somewhere.
Yeah, and see, and that's what somebody else said because like they're like, isn't Nezu an experiment? And here's the thing: they technically said Nezu was like one of the few animals that was discovered to have a quirk, but it could turn out that Nezu is kind of an Omu, or rather, he's like a mouse that was experimented on that successfully got a quirk transplanted into him, and in the process, they managed to,
Yeah,
like it's
that
got to
makes a lot
Yeah.
be.
more sense now. Now that we know
Yeah.
that quirks out, like you could take them out and put them in the thing. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, this is my thing though. It's like I don't know why people are trying to downplay. Like, he's the principal. Why would he do all this? Aren't y'all claiming the kids and the heroes are fucking part of it too? And Nezu has a bigger reason than literally anyone in this school to betray these people. If anything, like didn't he have a sadistic side? Wasn't he trying to actively kill these kids at one point? Like for a split second, he was going a little bit too crazy. I didn't see nobody else maniacally laughing, making these kids lose and damn near killing them during a training exercise during the test. I mean to say. So it's
Yeah,
like, he has more reason than anybody, and even if he it's like, oh well, he begged and this that those some weak ass reasons. Ain't all the kids laugh with each other? Ain't all the heroes playing teacher? So you mean the nigga with the biggest reason? And then Shirokuma shit just backed up even further. So how is All For One getting all these quirks from the school, and they're not saying anything about this? It's like he's getting multiple bodies, multiple quirks. So the students just losing their fucking quirks.
Well,
And
I don't think it's the students losing their quirks. I think it's people dying and them getting the quirks. Because
it just
I don't know the statistics of heroes dying, but it can't be super low.
like it's. I would say it's probably negligible.
for sure.
Like
Yeah.
from the standpoint of when you think about the fact that we know that like the Pussycats were like, oh, we're like 400 something. That's still pretty good. Like
Yeah.
I feel like there's enough fodder where like a hero could die every month, and while that would be like important, it wouldn't necessarily matter
I
because
think 5 heroes could die every month because you got to think about like how many students are graduating and stuff from all over Japan that goes to hero schools.
yeah, and like and it's just like now when they decided to raise their standards, now is when they're thinking about it. What's kind of crazy is that if you think about it, the provisional license exam and them raising the bar there is actually going to backfire here more than likely. Because if you
Yeah.
think about it, they just won't have the numbers.
Yep.
They had like 1,000 applicants just at Deku's and their testing site alone. So that's like 950 people that could have been heroes or could have been. And now I got to like look at it also as that some of those dudes could be like after they failed that licensing exam, could have been like, damn, dog, like maybe I should join the
The
Liberation
workforce.
Front.
Yeah, the work. Yeah, I'm like, if people like Spinner, there are people like Spinner out there that have nothing to live for. And in gentle, you get your dreams crushed, your hopes. Hey, look at this new idea. Look at this new idea. You don't need to go to school to use your quirk. Something you're born with, something you can't control. You gonna have one whether you like it or not. You can't. You mean tell me you can't be yourself? Your quirk is a representation. You can't be yourself. People gonna start picking that shit up and eating it like hotcakes. More
Well, like
now,
think
more than
about
ever.
it. What kind of twist would it be just to have like that dude that Deku that was like, hey, come on, please, this is our last year, we gotta graduate, and then Deku was like, so do we. Like if Deku had to pull up on that dude during this war arc, and it would be
Man, I
like,
would be
damn, like yeah, shitting on this dude's dream actually put him in a spot where he is like doing more wild stuff. Like, and that's kind of, I don't know if Horikoshi would do that, or I don't know if it's necessary to make that point because we already had it with Gentle, but it would kind of like really bring it home and
Yeah.
personalize it on like between the kids.
Yeah, it was solidified.
But
let me touch on that point y'all was making about heroes dying. And it would make sense more because first off, of course, you couldn't put that goriness and that greediness inside for two reasons. First of all, his first editor, that nigga Monji, that nigga was a hoe. That nigga was like he all strict, he all old school ass head nigga. He all strict and play by the book. He wouldn't even let Horikoshi do a lot of details because he's like it's too gruesome and grotesque for like the young jump readers and stuff like that. So that's so he had to play by the book, close to the edge until after overhaul. And we got the GOAT Yoritomi who let that nigga run free and let let him go wild, buck crazy. But yeah, it's like he had to be held back, and then plus the kids' naivety throughout this entire series, like they just starting to experience like Deku just learned at Cultural Festival a few months ago. Like not everybody your face is a fucking Shigaraki. Not everybody your face is a moonfish. They're not all a muscular. Some people are spinners, gentles. They have their twices. People have their reasons for doing what they do because they were rejects by society. And of course, a quirkless boy, let alone some other kids that's praised or normal kids, they're not going to be seeing this dark side of society on the come up. They basically a bunch of white, not to be racist, but they basically like a bunch of sheltered kids. I want the race in there, but we all know what I'm talking about. Sheltered. They never been to the other side of the tracks. If you black, you'll get what I mean.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So some people ain't been to the other side of the track. So you see how the other side live. It's like everybody's a gangbanger. No, you don't know the reason why I'm a gangbanger. I have no choice in this shit. It's shit like that. So they starting to come, and then the more darker the series gets, and the more gray it starts to blur. You start to see that shit. So I know heroes were dying. Stain got bodies on top of bodies. Muscular was a fucking serial killer. Moonfish was eating people and shit. It's like I know fucking nobody's dropping left and right.
Oh yeah. Also, we said Exless was smart, but I do kind of want to take that back a little. For one reason, he didn't put a hole in Shigaraki on sight.
Well, that's not a hero thing to do.
I mean, he's dead. You can double tap.
Yeah,
listen.
That's also the thing. They say his heart wasn't beating, so they have no reason to actually,
Nah, bro.
Nigga, I don't care. All for one exists. I ain't taking no damn chances. I'd have pulled up on a nigga. I'd have been like, "You gotta go, buddy." I would have been like, "Yeah." I'd be like, "Y'all niggas ain't never seen Zombieland?"
All right, so check this out.
Double tap.
Tomura snagging Erasure. What if he gave it to Spinner?
Yo! Nah, chill out. I'm done.
Because, think about it. Spinner pulls up with the blade. His quirk isn't really combat oriented. It just lets him stick to things and be a lizard nigga. You hand him Erasure. Can you block this blade with your bare hands or not?
Bro, I'm done. On his Stain 2.0 gimmick. Because Spinner actually has, rereading a lot of the series, I've been rereading. Spinner has hands. He was really combating the Pussycat Dolls, and in NBA, he was killing niggas.
He was
he literally got hands.
He was legit talking to people, looking other ways, throwing knives in the backs of people's necks during My Villain Academia. So he is proficient with his knives and blade. It's just that he has a quirk that's not,
I think Spinner's quirk is more than it meets the eye. Like the dude from Vigilantes. I can't remember.
Koichi.
Man, Koichi's quirk. He needs to.
Oh, that nigga right now, that nigga going crazy right now, bro.
First off, his speed improvements. If you don't read Vigilantes, watch my video, The Case for Vigilantes, then read Vigilantes.
I want to say that if he was trained, if he was like Genten and been trained from a young kid to master his quirk, he probably would be. His quirk is on the level of number one status. If we're being real.
Talking about Koichi?
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, he would be a high tier hero if he would have actually gotten training.
He's literally top 10 material because that nigga got versatility out the ass. He got
high speed
and mobility. He can fucking maneuver through the air.
He can fly.
And he got projectiles too. This nigga is literally OD. If he would have had his shit properly and been in UA or Shiketsu, that nigga would have been OD, bro. Oh yeah. Let's talk about this since we're on the topic of Vigilantes. So, who here thinks that Shigaraki has O-Clock? Since one for all, we know they could duplicate the quirks, and this is my thing, though. This is why I'm holding that, because everybody keeps saying how Shigaraki got pulled to the mansion too, right? My thing is, I noticed something when it was first pointed out. Why did Horikoshi point out the difference between the distance between Endeavor and Hawks in this entire thing? And we were thinking, how the fuck is Shigaraki gonna get from point A to point B? And this nigga doesn't, and fucking Mocha and the work Johnny are fucking dead. At this point, since we know he has one for all, there's no telling what quirks this nigga. Yeah, I mean, my fault. All for one. There's no telling what quirks this nigga has at this point. So if he's fucking flying through the city or O-Clock shit, I'm not surprised.
But I said this in the previous streams. I said, what if the doctor? Because I didn't know he got Shigaraki had all for one. I thought the doctor just implanted quirks in him. I said, what if the doctor gave him a warp quirk? Like, there's nothing to say that he didn't. Like, he can have Kurogiri's warp quirk, or he has the one that all for one and Johnny used.
So that's one of the things that I find kind of fascinating about this is that we know the doctor had access to Tartarus, but if you remember, there's the me now, and I'm trying to figure out if this is just like metaphorical, if there's a chance that literally like this internal world stuff gives him access to finally pass it on all for one properly, and that's kind of what this vision is.
I think they're all. Oh, go ahead.
He because the one for all inner world effect registers all for one. So what's up with that? Is he do they sense each other? Can they impact each other? Can they actually pass on quirks through the ether? What's up with this?
I think that it's like a connection type of thing. So where one for all can relive some things through all for one, and all for one can do vice versa. That's the reason that Nana is here. Shigaraki has never met Nana. He has no idea that she is a holder of. He may now, but there's no reason that she should appear here. So because all for one is the original quirk of one for all, I'm assuming that Nana is a Visager, just like she is in one for all, and that's why she said, "Don't ever forget." She's trying to stop him. Here, a part of her is inside of Shigaraki at this point.
Yeah,
because this has never happened until he has all for one, essentially. So, we never know. We don't know what all for one did with her body after he killed her.
Yeah.
See, I've kind of thought that he always had trophies
of all the one for all. Yo, that's sick. I believe it.
Because because the thing is that he was out here ripping off arms and limbs anyway. So would it really be that outlandish if he kept trophies of all of them? The dude's been, because it's he's a gamer, right? So he's kind of out here racking up his kill count, high scores, etc. So especially one for all users, I feel like if he was ever going to hold a trophy, that would be it.
Dead ass.
And I don't think that Nana hand being on the back of his head is a coincidence. I'm pretty sure that's intentional, a reveal, yo, this is what I'm telling you here.
Yeah, what if we get to a all for one base and he has all the bodies still preserved? They're dead, but they're just preserved. That would be sick.
That shit would be gruesome because some of these niggas, one of them niggas lost an arm, bro, and I'm pretty sure other people lost body limbs.
Yeah, the one who
held back no more, so.
The one who passed it on to Nana was the one that was crying and was missing an arm as he was passing it on. But he was also smiling because he managed to not die, so he could pass it on at least. It's crazy when your version of a W is losing your arm and getting away.
One thing that always fascinates me is that when people say that Deku is a chosen one or blah 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 blah, it's I was Deku isn't the chosen one. He's just the one that was chosen. And maybe you didn't understand that in the beginning of the series, but when we had that literal chapter where they were the people that got one for all aren't the best heroes. They weren't the best people by far, but they're the ones that just had to do the job when they got it.
And I'm pretty sure some of them niggas was just around the block. I'm pretty sure not everybody had a heart of gold that was trying to do this shit. You can't tell me
I'm pretty sure most of them were Midoriya.
Yeah, you can't tell me, but I'm pretty sure most of them were, but you can't tell me all 80, especially it being Horikoshi himself and him saying none of these niggas were chosen ones, they were more survivors. I'm pretty sure not all 80 of these niggas were just yeah, I'm a hero, you know what? I'll say the word. I'm pretty sure some of these niggas was fuck this shit, man. I ain't trying to do this, but.
Oh, hold on.
I'm gonna say because All Might is we know that All Might is the most gifted one out of everybody that's had one for all so far. Even outside of Izuku, Izuku's not gifted at all when it comes to quirk proficiency. He just works really hard. We know that All Might is the best user of one for all ever.
Well, and so the thing about that is I always say one for all hit what would have been the singularity point in the generation All Might had it. So I don't think, if anything, I think All Might might have been the least special one for all user. But because he didn't have a quirk, because it was just that power, it was like all he was doing was focusing on just manifesting that and fighting. So like he's like the closest thing to like a, what if Batman got superpowers, I guess, or something like that. Because he's not, because the quirk gets stronger each generation. So it's important to also remember that All Might just straight up had more firepower than, user number 4. Like that, regardless of like factoring, just like One for All itself was stronger. So even like One for All in user 4 is probably at least going to be twice as strong by user 8. And that's before factoring in like whatever quirk they might have had probably wasn't as good given the timeline as One for All at like the 4th generation even. So why would so you know what I'm saying? Like why would any user be as influential as All Might when no other user had as much power as All Might, except for Deku?
They call him a fighting genius. I think that's what Red's getting at.
Well, yeah, because he was able to use One for All basically after all that build up at 100% efficiency from almost the jump. So like even regardless of like who had the most powerful version of One for All, it's just like if anybody else would have got One for All, there's very few people that would have been able to use it to that proficiency that early on in the world. So I think Endeavor may have been one of those people too.
I think Endeavor and Mirio specifically are 2 people who, if they would have gotten One for All, would have been. No, like if All Might would have been like, you know what, I'm giving the One for All to Endeavor.
Yeah, that fight with All for One would have went a lot differently. Endeavor would have, Endeavor, if he had One for All, would have been on a completely different level than All Might ever was.
Yeah, completely. Like that should have been crazy.
Like Flaming Detroit Smash. Like I just see him like shooting like Fire Fist that goes all the way, like those building multi-city block level attacks that All for One was throwing at Kamino. That's Endeavor with flames.
Yeah, and we see like how he does what he does with Hell Spider, like the ripping stuff up apart. Like Endeavor would be a monster.
United States of Promise Burn. Come on, that would.
Like
you see one tornado? No, bro.
That man is slicing like whole cities in half, basically. Like, but not like Shigaraki. All right.
Oh, can we talk about that? He not finna that whole talking shit is done.
Oh yeah, no. Because like we were talking about, this is like the Act 1. There's like the Phase 1, arguably Phase 2, depending on how you want to look at it, of like this whole situation where we had everything building up to we need to get to Shigaraki, but we already knew that they were never going to stop Shigaraki. Like he didn't get to 100%. We knew that, so he still isn't as powerful as he could have been. But the reality is that we always knew that the Phase 2 part of this, or you could argue Phase 3, whatever, because you could argue Phase 1 was like the setup, getting everybody in position, getting into that, like figuring out where everybody was.
About the he's not as strong as he could have been. One thing I will say, the machine that was like at 75% was still going up, and also Shigaraki was laying inside the liquid that was inside the machine.
True.
And like I think the electricity from that thing jump started the process.
Like I wouldn't be surprised if he caught a straight charge just from all the destruction. Like,
yeah, I think at this point Shigaraki's the strongest person in the series right now.
Yeah, pretty much confirmed at this point. Okay, so you got Miracle number 5, Shook. She wasn't even afraid he's high in those.
And like, we're finally getting Deku, and that's the other thing that that's what I'm like. This is kind of Act 3 because we took some time.
Who?
We getting Deku.
Who? Oh, you mean Luke Skywalker? Oh, you're right.
Hold up. Look. Also, somebody just mentioned All for One possibly taking Shigaraki's mind or like doing a mind swap, and I'm like, no. Let AFO love this man. Let him be his fucking successor. Because the reality is that homie is pretentious enough And legacy is important. You know how many people, think about how many people's parents are on them right now. I'm 27. You know how many times my mom like randomly tries to convince me that I should have a grandkid for her already? All for One realized he was mortal, and the same things that other people have, those same fears set in. Like he finally had a midlife crisis like 100 years in. That's all it is.
100 years in.
Yeah.
Shit, maybe I should give it to somebody else.
Bro, what more do y'all niggas need? Like, I think, do y'all literally need Horikoshi to offer one to state out, yeah, Shigaraki, I'm not trying to betray you or anything like that. I actually love you, my boy. I don't know what more y'all need. All my little ask this nigga, why you got the successor? You could have lived forever with this body. Just like you, the nigga all for one said, just like you and everybody else is like, I found my time limited once you start caving in on my friends. That's all my time closing. So I got, like everybody else, I got my legacy and passed on my riches. So I would not die forever. Like I could live on essentially. He literally said this shit. What are y'all confused about?
Also, all for one has said himself, like he's already resignated himself to die. Like he said, like my body right now is in a ragged state. I need all these tubes and stuff to even live.
Also,
like he said,
he's not immortal.
Yeah, he's not.
Because my quirk doubles my lifespan. So
yeah,
that's the quirk he gave All for One. All for One is not like, so assuming All for One, let's say he lived to be 30 before he met. This guy, All for One, is like 90, maybe like at most I could put him at like 40, so he could be like 110. Assuming they met for 7 years.
I think that All for One has another quirk that retains his youth. And then he got a quirk because I don't. The reason I say this, I don't think All for One, like 110 sounds good, but that doesn't, like chronologically and timeline wise, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well,
what we talking about?
How old All for One is?
I did some calculations. That's gonna be pretty fucking loose unless they extremely say it. Because looking back at everything, I said let's say it's 7 generations, right? Well, it's 9, but let's say we count 7.
Well, you got to remember,
right?
there's 9 generations of One for All.
Yeah, but let's just count the first 7, right? Let's count the first 7. Let's count the first 7, and you divide that by you multiply that times they said all of them died young. Let's say 35, right? You multiply that. You say 200 or something.
You say 30 because a generation is 30 years.
No, they're usually around 25.
But I'm pretty sure Nana had my fault.
But again, like you can't base generations of actual quirks off of One for All because everybody died quicker. And that was like adults passing it to adults. So depending on how long the average One for All user lived, which like if they made it a point to emphasize they died young, you could say like a lot of them died in their 20s. That's believable, especially for the one that we saw give the quirk to Nana. So let's just say the first 6 or 7 of them might have only had it for like 50 years combined, if they're all dying young. So at that point,
my fault.
So like at that point, like even if Nana had it for like 10 years, she probably had one of the longer runs just because the quirk was stronger. And I did see somebody calculated All Might's age. It really does track to be about like 56. And the thing is that quirks, All for One didn't, like we never got like a hard explanation for what time, like when All for One came onto the scene. And it's not stated that like the baby in Ching Ching City happened and 20 years later, All for One was, pulling up and running things.
Yeah.
So, and if the doctor is saying we started seeing signs in the 3rd or 4th generation of quirks, you could argue that maybe 80 years into quirk society is around the time that like the 3rd or 4th generation would have been there. They would have started seeing symptoms. So the doctor would have been already 50. That's when he would have come up with singularity theory. You could have so the doctor himself could be like a 2nd generation quirk user, or like from the 2nd generation of quirks, basically. And being like and over the span of like the past 5-6 years, or not 5-6, like the last couple decades, you would still have effectively like 6-7 generations having passed, which is enough to have most of the globe be infected with quirks, which tracks with network marketing schemes or pyramid schemes. You only get about 13 generations or something like that before the whole planet's gone.
That's wild. And shout out to so we got some stuff in the chat, but shout out to whatchamacallit.
It's almost Squid.
Yeah, Squid. Shout out to them. Before I get to the chat though, shout out to fucking whoever calculated All Might's age, because like I was saying, people kept saying All Might and Endeavor were like the same. I was like, no, because All Might was already leaves and out there in the fields by the time Endeavor came onto the scene.
And that was Sandra on Twitter. So,
shout out to her, because he was been out there.
Endeavor's calculated to be about like 46 or 47.
Yeah, he got his age revealed on his show.
So yeah, it's like he's in his 40s. He's like, and that all tracks. Like, All Might having been there for a couple of years. Like, we know that, you know, Aizawa and them were raised in a generation with All Might as a hero. So, but yeah, like I've always thought that it's been about 200 years, like Squid mentioned, and I think this kind of solidifies that it took about like 100 years before things like really hit the fan. But at the same time, it still hit the fan. Like, that's finally when All for One pulls up. And the thing is that that also lets Destro make a bit more sense if All for One wasn't in control for like all of Japan for as long as like people would think or seem to think, because that means that like you could have had Destro pull up around the same time or before, and it would still line up, or like as All for One was gathering allies, the Destro stuff was happening, or All for One took advantage of the wreck that Destro created. I'm sure we're gonna get like a clear timeline on it, because did we get Destro's age yet, or Redestro's age?
No, we don't think we got that, unless it was in the. No, I don't even think he had a page in a recent.
Yeah, I don't think he's gotten a page even. Let me see if his age is listed, because
it may be in a Quirk analysis book, but as far as I know, no.
I just pulled up the wiki. If it would have been in there, I think somebody would have put it in here already.
Yeah, they would have, because they got extra information like and shit.
So yeah, the way I look at this, and he looks to be in his like 40s or 50s, considering he's a CEO. So if you assume like his dad had him when he was like 40 or 50, then that also puts the Meta Liberation Army coming around at like 90 years ago. So, or it could put it around 70 years ago. So like that happened, and then so yeah, actually, you could have the original Meta Liberation Wars and stuff happening about 50s. Well, maybe only 50 years ago. No, it could be more than that, because he was in prison. Easily, one of his visitors could have come in. Like, he could have had visitors or something that got pregnant by him.
Yeah, easily. Conjugal visits.
And stuff like that.
So let's just, since we're on topic of that PLF MLA, let's talk about this theory. What I've been thinking for quite a while. Other people kind of agree. Geeton teaming up with Dabi, since Dabi is now in game. Because I speculated this before. When Geeton values like strength above all else.
All right, now y'all can hear me. All right, what I was saying was, I don't know if this.
Oh shit.
I don't remember if this was an anime only thing, but like, wasn't Izuku's mom like 4th generation Quirk user?
It said that, but like we don't know if that meant like 4th generation overall, 4th generation in her family.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the one thing that like makes it a little harder to tell.
If she's 4th generation just overall, then Quirks haven't been that here for that long. You know what I mean? Yeah,
and if she's 4th generation overall, that would also make what Endeavor said make like justified also, where he was like, "You're one of us, and you're getting harmed by your quirk," and then that kind of like runs in with the idea that they're slowly getting to be more than the people can handle.
Yeah.
So with that, it would So like that's something that I've considered is that like Endeavor is supposed to be fourth generation, and that's like period. In which case that would still mean that basically All for One, Destro, all that stuff was happening at like once, and then eventually All for One just took over for a while.
What generation would Deku be? He would be sixth generation if we're going by that logic.
If his mom is
because Aizawa would be under her.
If his mom is, he would either be sixth generation or because it depends on how old like Aizawa, like how far apart Aizawa and his mom are in age. So let's.
Well, like I was saying before, I had to let Rest get off because he wasn't here. Yeah, so like I was saying, like even like you know how Geeton values power above all else and stuff like that, and seeing how Redestro started like
they have her at 42.
Yep, I just looked it up.
Dick off of shit.
How old is Aizawa?
Can you hear me?
Wait, can you hear East Rex?
No, I can't.
Okay, you gotta leave me come back.
God.
Aizawa's 31, so they're 10 years apart, so he would be at the end of the generation.
So Aizawa would be at the end of Generation 5, right?
Or end of Generation 4 with Deku's mom. 80% of the world is just.
Can you hear me now, Rex?
Yeah, I can hear you now. East.
Okay, so real quick.
Okay, like what?
Hold on, East. Because somebody pointed out like 80% of the world getting quirks in just 200 years. Here's the thing. If quirks work like a virus as Overhaul speculated, just think about how the coronavirus spread. If it was like a small virus that spread throughout, and then like when people started having kids, that's when quirks were starting to manifest. It would basically mean that the coronavirus generation had the virus, their kids, as a like response to what their bodies developed quirks. And so that would mean that you could have something where due to global travel, the virus spread across the world really fast. It might have been an asymptomatic virus, so it would have been a pandemic that people didn't even realize was like a big deal, or they might have just thought it was a flu. And then over time, as people are having more and more kids, they realize glowing babies, etc. That is like how it works. And if that's how the virus was transmitted and how it started, then that would make sense for the like global rapid spread throughout the world, especially because those people still would have traveled and people would have wanted to meet heroes. So if it's a virus-based thing, then it just makes sense that. Wait. Critical Revelation East?
I just remember something. How many generations deep are we? Because Redestro even said the original mother that named Quirks, they were fucking hunting people down.
So Deku's generation is probably like Generation 5.
Yeah, because then if you think about it in the one for all flash or off one flashback, how some niggas were like getting bullied with the quirk, like when quirks were coming out on the rise, they were causing all types of havoc and shit like that. But then at the same time, you got like people wanting quirks too that didn't have quirks. If you look at that flashback, then you look at what Redestro was saying about the original quirk mother of quirks. I guess the one that gave quirks their name, and it's like, this is my child that he has a quirk, but they killed her and the baby, I believe, right?
No, they killed her.
Okay, and then I guess the baby escapes.
But baby's Destro.
Yeah, it's Destro because his grandmother.
I imagine that she got injured and he had the same quirk, so he hulked out a little and ended up like getting away because of that. Like they ran away because he said I think he said specifically that she was like stoned to death. So yeah, he probably that stress probably kicked in.
Yeah, this timeline is kind of finicky. Like there's like a lot of different ways it could go in like terms of length. And like certain ways, it doesn't make sense. And there's some ways it makes a lot of sense. In some ways, it's like it needs some more explanation. I think one day we'll get it to one, or maybe we never will. Maybe it's meant to be ambiguous.
I think it's weird because if you look at because some people will put a generation as low as 20 years, some people will put it around like you try to put it around 30. So you
put 10.
Yeah, you could argue that, but like here's the thing is that specifically because Overhaul mentioned that virus theory, if you treat it as a thing that populated that way as like effectively a pandemic that is just caused by a virus, then it's kind of it makes sense. And it also explains why technology is definitely better, but not so far ahead. Because like they already talked about how like they would have been able to probably get space if it weren't for the advent of quirks, and the industrial revolution was considered a relevant thing to talk about. So even if you just put it like 100 years in the future, with technological stagnation as far as vehicular items and all these other things, it kind of tracks. Especially even like not having super new high tech phones, slowing down on all that other stuff to make sure that people could just go about their daily lives is directly stated in the story to a certain degree. So you kind of get to have a society that reflects ours, but is still mildly futuristic because like their technology is definitely ahead of ours.
They got
But it's
holograms. Like Izuku's whole like interest in UA was a hologram of All Might showing video and stuff.
yeah, so like their technology is better than ours. It's not that like, but it's just not as far better as it could be because they've been dealing with other stuff.
Actually, yeah. Even before that, Crimson Ride is an older hero. We know he's very old, like older generation. And then Kirishima even had like a little hologram of him.
But that could have been like a video that was recorded on a traditional camera and was later upgraded to a holotape.
Yeah. Oh, or however that shit works in their world.
Yeah. All right, let me get my thing off. I'm just gonna run through it real quick. I've been trying, but we began distracted. So like I was saying, so I believe since Dabi is now in game of his own and not just a part of the league itself, he's his own entity now, and he's gonna build up even more from here. Like I've been saying, ever since Geaton was shown off, he was like, we believe in power, this, that, other, strongest for at the top, blah, blah, blah. And then you go into like when the MLA was first having their meeting with everybody together, like after they all formed the PLF, they became a PLF. Geaton was one of the only team leaders that wasn't there in the meeting like that. And he's never really shown around with Reed Destro, nothing like that. And even other people like, yo, this nigga Reed Destro is sucking this nigga Shigaraki dick is like, and people just like, oh, well, he's faithful, this, that, and other. How many times have Kings been betrayed by their right-hand man? Because they made the wrong move or reverse decision. So you think a child, just because he raised them up, is like, the people person you look up to, and they fall down this far, is like, I ain't going to respect you. People, you can lose respect, nigga. I don't care how much tough you did. You can
literally, the mentality that was enforced was that the strongest quirks would be on top. You lost. So already the ideology that was beaten, or not necessarily beaten, but like conditioned into Getten, is definitely one that leads itself to betraying him. And then like that could, like people talk about that like as an end game, and like yeah, Dabi is end game, probably Shoto matchup. Could we have Dabi and Getten versus Shoto as like Shoto's big match where he has to take on two people at once while Bakugo and Deku are fighting Shigaraki? Maybe. There's a lot of in-game potential with that. And oh yeah, Getten is definitely not happy about Shigaraki taking over because like here's the thing. There's the phase of like anger and rejection because you don't want, your homie, your big boss to be the one that lost. But if Shigaraki comes out of this dust endeavored, whoops, multiple, like heroes here, and then pulls up, at the mansion, then Getten has no choice but to respect. That's Getten's own ideology. You know what I'm saying? In the same way that an MVA spinner had his questions answered, you would look at this arc as also not only answering questions about Shigaraki for, other members of the Paranormal Liberation Front, but also answering a lot of the questions that people have about him outside of the series too. So I definitely think a lot of this is going to come to a head, and Getten is going to either like abscond and go do his own thing and maybe like run off with Dabi, or he's going to double down and end up like super loyal to Shigaraki in the same way that Spinner did. And I don't think that I don't think Dabi's getting caught by the villains either for what he said. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When he was, my thing was like, yeah, that's what I was thinking. My thing was my thing was about Geet was that he might switch up with Dabi and move with that faction, and they start building their stuff up because one way or another, OG Hamura is coming back into play in this.
Yeah, just like
I don't care if it's like a crew or it's like And since it's some way of shape or form, this thing could come back into the fray.
Just like we eventually have to get the story of Brave, because Crimson Riot. First off, like Crimson Riot being a big deal is an important aspect of the story in itself, but Brave was mentioned alongside All Might and Crimson Riot. Crimson Riot specifically, I think Horikoshi was using as a narrative tool. One, let us know that he actually was kind of a big deal his hero, but two heroes that heavily influence our main cast are being mentioned alongside someone whose character design was withheld, whereas OG Hanma's was not. So, and the reality is often when Destro were explored, we kind of have to explore the third option. It just makes sense for. I'm personally the camp that Brave might have been the second or third one for all user. So it might have been the only one that was like really powerful and then had to like give it off to somebody else. But I'm not 100% certain on that. And somebody was like in the chat said they think Dabi and Shigaraki are going to be butting heads. And
I don't think so.
Care to explain?
I think that
He's smarter than that. Dabi's smarter than that.
One, Dabi's smarter than that, and two, Shigaraki. I was just thinking about this. Where Deku has a selfish goal, Shigaraki's goal is more selfless. To a certain extent, Deku wants to be the number one hero. That's him. That's his spell. Shigaraki's goal was kind of like that at first. He just wanted to destroy things, but as he's gotten more developed, his whole goal is making a society and a place better for his friends and his comrades. He wants them to live a good life. So, and I think that even though like Dabi and Shigaraki like don't see eye to eye all the time, he can still maybe not like completely agree with him, but he can like ride with him a little bit because like he wants to destroy the society just like Shigaraki does. Like it's just like Destro and Shigaraki. Like even though they have like different ideologies at some points, like the main point is the society has to get destroyed. Shigaraki and Dabi both want the heroes to be gone. And Dabi wants to completely eradicate heroes, unlike Stain. So does Shigaraki. They don't go they don't have to be like separate. Like Dabi may want to betray him later on, but like as of now, I don't see him betraying the League of Villains anytime soon.
It's true. That's currently his best bet for achieving his dream. And I don't think the heroes are going to go out of their way to try to reveal, like, oh, by the way, Shigaraki Dabi doesn't care about you. Like, I don't, like, that's something that I could see coming up at the end, though.
Yeah, right now, I don't think Shigaraki fully cares of Dabi. Like, it's like, you know, because Dabi and Shigaraki have always, like, I don't want to say butted heads, but they always had, like, kind of at odds throughout the whole series.
They be trying each other,
Yeah, and I think that makes Dabi more loyal to Shigaraki than anybody else, if that makes sense. Because they are so combative, because that Dabi will call Shigaraki out, because Shigaraki will call Dabi out, it makes it so that there isn't no like held in emotions between the two of them. And I think that ultimately Dabi will. I don't think Dabi's gonna like. I used to think Dabi was gonna break up, but the more I look at it, I think Dabi's gonna stick with Shigaraki.
And if I'm being honest, I think Shigaraki and Dabi kind of. We talk about how Twice was like the typical shonen power of friendship guy, but in a lot of ways, Shigaraki and Dabi have like that MC best friend rival character dynamic where, it's kind of like, all right, the leader's gonna go off to do his own, like to do his thing, and then it's kind of like when Matt and Tai fought in Digimon, and like Matt went off to go do something else and took out one of the big like 4 demons they had to fight or whatever. Yeah. That's kind of like what Dabi's on, where he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go do my own thing, and he consistently is like, all right, leader, do your own thing, I'm gonna do mine. And while he says I don't care about the league and all that other crap, they are a means to an end. They are an investment he's made, and I don't think that he's gonna get a better opportunity than like staying alongside them anyway. So,
and also I don't think Dabi. I was gonna say I don't think Dabi has fully internalized how much he says he doesn't care, but I don't think he realized how much he actually does care.
Oh, that's bullshit. He Dabi just talking on his ass. The same way he was like, same way he had that. I thought so hard about it with crazy moment. Like, you know, it started deepening his character. He's just saying that right now, but he pointed out how, like, you know, everybody handles emotions differently. To be that sadistic and to be sadistic and cold as Dabi is, and then like, he's sarcastic, but at the same time he did say his tear ducts are burnt. the amount of excruciating pain you go, that twists somebody's mind. I don't care what he says, he cares, but he's all about looking cool, edgy. W's or not, which he doesn't really have. He has issues in the head, so people process different stuff different, especially sickos like him. So he cares regardless of what he's saying. Hey, Aniki, can you slide BG the link?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I was about to say that, I think that if push comes to shove and Dobby sees one of the League of Villains members in danger, he will go out of his way to save them.
Oh, of course.
And I think that's more of an instinctual thing more than it means to an end thing. And I don't think he realizes that. Yeah.
Adi, what's good?
He's not in for me.
No. Adi is wait, did you say
chat?
So my boys right there.
I think he just means that East is here. Not literally.
Yeah.
Like when he says in the chat, like the actual chat we're having, not type chat.
Yeah. Well, let's I think shout out to Squid because he wanted us to talk about this how Ujiko and niggas was really setting folks up because he was like, see, in the scans, it was a lot of us had to reread it a couple times to figure out who was narrating at that point, whether it was Ujiko talking, because it came from a different point of view. Like, even after I reread it, I was like, is this President Mike or Ujiko talking? And then I was like, okay, let me do it again. It was like, okay, I'm pretty sure it's Ujiko talking. Then in this, it was clear that President Mike was like talking about, I'm touching this fucking disgusting creep, this, that, and the other. And just that, it was like real clear what he was talking about. But it didn't, what it wasn't clear was that he wanted Eraserhead's quirk. That wasn't clear in the scans. The Viz, yeah. I
How do you fuck that up?
No, I don't think it was a mention of a racist quirk, period, at all.
Yeah, I didn't think it was. He just said, your Kirigiri's friend, right?
And y'all still reading these trash lessons?
And he said, something I wanted to do something for myself or something, but it mentioned like the eraser quirk itself. So when I reread this, I was like, these niggas here.
All right, so I'm making is East talking right now?
No.
Okay. So I'm making a move right now starting today. I will no longer read the scans or the spoilers. Y'all can hold me to this word that this is the last time. I'm going cold turkey and I'm only reading the Viz every Sunday. Every Sunday. I would do this. It will be nice.
All right, so what are you gonna do if you fuck up?
Try harder next time, man.
No.
We gonna hold you to that. See, he only saying this now because Dustin ain't here to call his ass out.
Man, I'm just like, bro,
you gonna rock the clown fit?
For that, no, I'm trying to get off crack, and y'all like, if you mess up, you gotta wear a clown. So like, damn, I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to heal.
Exactly. do you want to have to sit on my stream wearing a clown nose during a chapter discussion?
Yeah,
be visible.
So,
hey, so listen. If you didn't help yourself because of this crack, it got you thinking that Dobby isn't Toya. You should have. That's your own fault. Your head is delusional. This crack got you spitting nonsense.
Yo, when Dobby is revealed to not be Toya, like I want, like you don't understand, like the excitement in my body, like I would have, like telling you all that I was right, and nobody believed me, and everybody shitted on me for a month, for almost a year, for having an opinion that was different from 99.9% of the community. This is what pisses me off so much about that Dobby Toya thing. It's not that, yes, there's clues pointing to Dobby being Toya, but the fact that y'all removing every other possibility in the story, it's like, come on. Like, when has anything ever gone exactly how everyone predicted Horikoshi to write it?
When I said we'd get a villain versus villain arc.
Oh man, come on. I mean, like major story, like reveals. You know what I mean?
How is that not all right?
You know what I mean? Like with characters and things like that.
This one is a little bit too on.
It's been rare that we've predicted how things were gonna go. And
I perfectly predicted Reed Estro's quirk. What are you talking about?
Okay, Aniki, yes, you're a prophet. Yes, you're Miss Cleo. But I'm just saying, like,
is BG talking yet?
BG's
I ain't said
in.
nothing. I wouldn't let y'all finish.
Okay.
Yeah, what's up, BG? But like I was saying, yes, Anik, you've predicted things before. I agree. But most of the time when you predict things, 99.9% of the people don't have the same opinion as you. The one time that everyone has the same opinion as you, and you're like y'all think that it's not gonna go down like that, bro. I'm just letting y'all know.
Duh. Okay. So here's what's funny. I gave my boss, I loaned him my volume 20 because he finished the anime or whatever. So I loaned him the volumes. He read that shit and was like, "So Dabi's Toya, right?" Like he just walked up to me at work and said it.
That's fine.
But this is also the same man that was like, "Oh, I didn't think the high end was a Nomu because it had the same eyes as Kurogiri."
That's hilarious.
I was so
That's
glad
hilarious.
I was wearing a mask when he said that shit. I was so glad I was wearing a mask.
Well, shit.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's like
He's got better foresight than all of us.
He does. That's crazy.
Niggas got foresight.
You didn't say anything to him, right?
No, I was like, that's interesting.
Dude, that is, yo.
So here's the thing. I feel like we all noticed the eyes, but like I instantly knew it was a Nomu. I just didn't care about, like, I didn't think about Kurogiri. And then like, oh yeah, that's a Nomu.
You know what I think it is that we are anime watchers and manga readers to a fault, to where things are so obvious to us that we don't look at the details of things sometimes. Like where it's him, like I don't know if does he read a lot of anime? I mean, watch a lot of anime, read a lot of manga.
He watches a decent amount of anime,
but not like us.
No, not like us. Like,
so in his case, like that, he's looking at the little details because it's like his mind, like all of this stuff is important. Whereas us sometimes, it's like we understand anime tropes sometimes, so it's like whatever. But he's like, that's like, dude, when he finds out that he was right, that's gonna be crazy.
Well, and like the thing for that one is that reveal specifically kind of is we were more focused on the immediate. Like, okay, we see this Nomu that can talk. This is going to be a problem, especially because we're also experiencing like week to week chapters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like we're sitting here like, oh shit, what is this Nomu going to do in the story? Not thinking about like what is this Nomu for other characters in the story sometimes.
And one thing I will say is that, like, I think the reason why we all like kind of removed the idea of Kurogiri ever being a Nomu was because we know that like during USJ he had a physical body, and we all just assumed that was just mist around him, like a quirk, like a literal quirk. So like it was like
Like there was no reason to think of him as a Nomu because one, the intelligence he showed was far ahead of anything we expected out of a Nomu, even when still more than what we got out of high end. And then also, like people's quirks make them look like that. There was no reason to assume that his quirk was artificial.
Yeah.
Welcome, Sayas.
Hello.
Right,
sorry, I'm late.
Sayas.
I was in a different call for a while.
I mean, it's like 2 a.m. by you. Wait,
no,
no,
it's
not that late.
It's 8 p.m.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, not that bad.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
So, Sayas, what did you think?
I mean, no endeavor, so that's a minus. No, but I liked it. I really like, for one, Present Mike getting some more screen time, and I think this is like the third or fourth time now in the story that we focused on Erasure being this awesome quirk that everybody wants to have. So I'm really worried for that. And then there's, of course, the stuff with Tenko, which, I mean, I guess is preparing us for something big to come. And finding out that he actually does have, I guess he does have All for One now. I don't think he had it before. I'm not sure about that. I didn't quite understand this. Like, did they mean they just gave him this quirk, or did they mean that he had it from the start?
No. What they did was the like during this little like transfer 9 shit he was doing, they gave him the original one, All for One. All for One has All for One for a while. He had a replica of his own quirk. And there's
Also,
actually, and
So
they
he
actually,
did have it.
and actually, yeah, and actually in hindsight, we actually find out that he's had this since the All Might fight.
Yeah, that's
Because-
that's a thing. Like I wasn't sure if this meant that Tenko had or Tomura had this quirk for the whole time, or that the quirk was kind of stored on a shelf and now he has it. But he didn't have it
that's what
before.
happened. Yeah, that's what happened because yeah, it's because that was the process he was talking about. Which
Obviously, because I don't think his body couldn't have handled All for One any earlier.
yeah, exactly. Which
yeah.
which is funny because actually, I'm a little bit confused about one thing though. So this actually not confused. I think I'm more certain about what I was thinking before. When they said he told him that One for All will be in the palm of his hand, I still think that means that it won't be a problem for him to deal with it, not take it, because All for One can't take it. So the original All for One couldn't take it. So why would Shigaraki be able to take it?
But
I think it just means he'll be able to deal with him and fight him.
Yeah, there's kind of no reason to assume that like All for One is going to upgrade in the same ways that like One for All does and be able to like take more like. But at the reason why I've always assumed that he couldn't take One for All is because giving the quirk is a part of the quirk's function.
Yes,
I would say
because
the My Hero movie
willingly.
I think the My Hero movie kind of solidified like that no one is able to take One for All forcibly at any point in time.
Well, I mean, I bring that up because that's like a common theory going around now. I've heard people go around with the theory that he's going to take the strength part of the quirk and he'll have to use all the other ones. I'm like, what?
That doesn't make sense because you have to like the strength is along with everything else. It's like they're not separate. You can't separate them.
Yeah,
Oh, you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. But that's just what I've been hearing. It doesn't make sense to me, but it's a theory.
Yeah,
but I think an important aspect might really be Erasure in that sense, because Erasure can, as far as I know, erase One for All, right? So
yeah,
you don't need to steal it if you can just kill it in that sense. That might be why everybody wants Erasure, because there's not really a reason why All for One would have to fear any other quirk, which you would need Erasure for. So, really worried for Aizawa here.
Well, yeah, and if you think about it, like one of the big memes of the community is why couldn't Erasure be at Kamino and just erase the quirk and shoot him with a sniper's rifle? Like that's a take that people have, and part of it is just like nigga has other jobs, but also that's not that interesting. But like the fact that the story is consistently made it a point to let us know that Aizawa's quirk is powerful and erasing quirks is an extremely important skill is valuable, and it's like Horikoshi has been setting this up for a while. If you remember, hell, Overhaul and them tried to kidnap Aizawa.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It was like part of the story for like 4 times now.
Like, regardless of whether or not Erasure works on just people being big and buff, it's still kind of ridiculous to be able to just nullify people's quirks. Hell, the fact that he nullified the Nomu ended up coming in and extremely clutch. Like it was the deciding factor in the fight.
Yeah.
Which one of the things that I saw some people talk about is like, is Aizawa like top 10 hero material and just not popular? And I don't know.
I mean, the popularity thing is that he's actively avoiding it. So
yeah,
that's a thing.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't say
don't think so.
But even if he wasn't, I wouldn't. It all just depends on like I think what they're questioning more so, because when the fandom talks about the top 10, they're not referring to like would they fit all the criteria of a top 10. They just mean by power.
Yeah,
they strictly mean by power. I thought most of these niggas are talking about that shit. And I don't know.
I really think that Aizawa does not pack enough punch for being top 10, because I think there are many heroes that, even without their quirks, they have durability and strength and speed or something like that. Even if their quirk is erased, they are just physically superior to Aizawa, or would outlast his quirk, because it's very time.
Well, it might be true. He also he's got more. You're right, but he also has very good like speed and technique.
Yeah,
he has like, the highest technique in the series. So it's like he could finesse people like that. Yeah, he could finesse people.
And the one thing I will say is that like people like Endeavor, for example, their bodies have been augmented by their quirks, so to like be able to handle the backlash of like fire, like cannons being shooting out of arms and stuff like. But like their arms and bodies are physically stronger than a normal humans.
Yeah, just saying this. There's no. It makes no sense that Endeavor's body is not in any way enhanced because he was thrown through a building. He fell out of the sky, and you don't survive that as a normal person.
Everybody who I always say it's important to remember that one of the things the doctor said was the people with quirks are the next step in human evolution. They are not like just base level humans, and that applies to even Aizawa. Fun fact: Aizawa's speed. If you look at like the ultra analysis, or at least the first data book, I don't know if he got updated stats in the second one. His speed was considered to be at the same level of Shigaraki's at MBA.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what Aizawa's speed stat is. So it's not like he's slow. He's got like, and it makes sense. He specialized in whooping ass. Like if you when you read his backstory, he actively made it a point to run an agency that focused in running around and just fighting villains.
Yeah.
So, and like his stats are actually for the ultra analysis book. He's got, let's see, yeah, he's got C, B plus speed, S plus technique, A plus intelligence.
Yeah, but that's not top tier. I mean.
S plus technique?
S technique, that's great, but physically there are a lot of heroes who are above him physically.
And yeah, like raw physical power, but like matchup wise, because of his speed and technique, he's gonna hang with them.
He's gonna
hang with, but I think that he's not top 10. I think he's absolutely top 25, but I think there are enough heroes that his fighting style is very focused on taking the villain out very quickly.
Okay, so in my opinion, I think that best genius doesn't beat Aizawa in a fight if he doesn't have his quirk.
Yeah, I don't see it.
That's a fair case. That's a fair case.
I think that
I don't say that's the top
Miracle. I think Hawks, Miracle, Endeavor, are like, and it may be like who else is in the top 10? Maybe the Dragon Lady.
Washer.
No, Wash. No. As much as I love Wash, I think that he's really heavily reliant on his quirks.
No, I don't mean the. I think that when we consider that the quirks are erased, I think the top 10 would shift dramatically. I think many people would fall out of the top 10. I mean, especially if we exclude like approval ratings, of course. But I still think that there are quite a few heroes who have either quirks that are just permanent, that he can't erase, that there are many heroes that are just physically so strong that even when he can erase that quirk, and even when he can catch them, and even when he can hit them, he's not going to knock them out in the time that until his quirk functions, until the quirk functions again, and then they're just going to destroy the bindings and whatever. So I think there will be more than 10 heroes, because so far he didn't really do that good in battles.
I think it's important to remember that he's been like he's like narratively handicapped in the fights that people mention.
Yes, very much so.
But it's not just the fights that people mentioned, but like there was not really a fight where he did magnificently good.
No. USJ. Think about how many people he fought. He was picking up like 3 whole grown-ups and just smashing them into each other, just running through a crowd. Like he was soloing a mob of people.
And that part I'm pretty sure Best Genius could do too.
Well, could he do it with just hand-to-hand combat?
Not without his quirk. Oh, can you hear me right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Hold on, what was I about to go on about? Yeah, well, the thing about the ultra analysis is that some of these stats I take with a grain of salt, because some of them are too close to others. When we think about how things are going, like some people like when it like the top tiers, but like as far as some of these kids go, it's not because Geaton stats don't add up at whatsoever.
The kids I never quite understand.
Yeah, like Geaton, his stats didn't add up to like actual what we seen in the manga whatsoever.
Oh yeah, wasn't his technique like a B?
Yeah, it was technically like a B, and I think his power was like a C. Like one of them was a C, either his technique or his power. I like
his intelligence is a C.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. None of that makes sense because like his technique we see is some of the best in the series, if not the best.
No, I wouldn't agree with that.
Really?
Wait, who now?
Geaton.
gets on.
So here's why. Because yes, he can make water cold, but if you think about it, most of what he did was just throw big waves of ice.
But I'm not even just talking
Yeah.
about the big waves of Ace. He was making the ice fists. He was making the ice dragons. He was floating
Yeah,
on
but
the side
like
of this.
that's not like if your quirk is literally because like you got to think his quirk is basically just telekinesis, but for ice only, and he can make it colder. So when you think about it from that angle, yeah, you should just kind of be able to make some shapes and like form some stuff. But
Yeah, I don't think it's
But
statistics are
Shoto
wrong.
should be able to. But Shoto stuff and stats on the same thing.
no, because Shoto has like a B- in technique.
And Gene has a B plus, right? Or is it B or B plus?
B.
Who
Yeah,
has
So
the
I-
like he's still under him
All
in
Shoto
technique.
could do is shoot out. Yeah, all Shoto could do is basically shoot.
Yeah, but Shoto has
A little
learned how to
fire here
use
and a little bit-
his flames for mobility as well as his ice now. So he's got two different mobilities. And like that's the other thing is that if you think about it, Gatan didn't move around a lot. So a B speed isn't even that unreasonable because he basically pulled up, jumped on an ice platform, and just never came down. And then like he tried to like flying saucer over and then easily got like bitch smacked by Makia.
To be honest, I also
Well,
somewhat
anybody
think
gets
that there's
Yeah,
a
but-
different. I don't know. Often when I see the students' ranks or ratings, I think that they are not quite measured with the same scale as adults. I often think that because, especially when we compare like the students with the top heroes, there's often not that much of a difference between them, and that's weird to me.
I think they are. I think they are measured at the same scale because notice I don't think any of them have S rank anything.
Shoto has S rank power.
Well, that makes sense though.
Yeah.
That makes sense though. Like
So
other
my
than
thing
that,
is that
you don't see anything like S rank speed or S rank technique, any of that shit. So yeah.
and you gotta
Yeah, but when you, for example, compare with Best Genist, who doesn't really have that much S rank either, and I'm pretty sure that Best Genist can all still defeat most of them because he's just more experienced.
Yeah, but that's
And his ranking
that's
is not
the
that much better than
okay, wait,
the
because
students, for example.
Horikoshi definitely fixed Best Genius stats. He did not, because if you look at Ultra Archive, the first data book compared to the second one, there's a massive shift
Yeah,
in it.
it definitely fixed them, but there's no S in anywhere where it counts, right?
Well, yes, yeah, but while that might be true, the reason he would finesse all these students is not necessarily because of his quirk; it's because of his experience with it. He
It's
has
like-
far more years with his quirk than them.
Also, part of the other thing is always going to be matchups, like the base, because like there's what you're physically doing plus how does your quirk impact the fights you have. So in this case, Best Genus only has a B for power, right? But that doesn't matter as much because if he's really quick, binds you up and you can't move. You can't move. He doesn't need to be stronger than you. You can't even fight back. It doesn't matter.
Yep,
Yeah,
but
like,
he doesn't
what-
even have like an S in technique. Why does he not have an S in technique? I don't.
He's got an A
I
plus
just
in
think that
technique.
there's like, I find it weird comparing like the stats of the top heroes to comparing the stats of some students.
But the other thing to remember is that,
For example, Bakugo has almost the same rating. He has A in technique, and he's great in technique. But Best Genus only has A plus in technique, and I still think like Bakugo just learned these things from Endeavor, so he's still learning a lot in terms of his technique. His technique is great for a student, but if I compare it to somebody like Best Genus, who was kind of complemented by at such great technique with such a apparently not powerful quirk, which I kind of disagree on, but not powerful quirk, and was still so good because of technique and I mean experience also makes your technique better, but still I just think that there has to be more of a difference.
well, the thing is,
I
though,
don't
is
think
that
Best Genus quirk is powerful at all because, like, if you look at
No, it's not
his-
powerful.
No, what I'm saying is that his base quirk is just controlling threads. Like
Yeah, but-
most people wouldn't have the war thought of like, oh, if I can control my threads, I can connect to other people. I can control how to move. I can do, So like that's why I say quirks are always a thing where it really depends on the user. So like even the dude with the like little small like blades that Kirishima fought back then, if he had proper training, who knows how proper his quirk actually could have been.
No, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that when I compare, for example, Best Genus just base stats, which are BC A plus A, with Bakugo's AB, then I think Bakugo here has the better stats, which I find weird. So I'm not sure how I'm supposed to feel with that about that.
One of the things though that is important to remember is one, raw physicality is not the same as like but then two, UA specifically is contextualized to a certain degree that it makes it. For example, if you grab the absolute worst professional like soccer team in the world and have them play against the absolute best college soccer team in the world, the best college soccer team is probably winning.
Oh, sorry. The Ultra Analysis Bakugo is A plus A compared to Best Genist's Ultra Analysis BC A plus A. It just doesn't compare. How are they both A plus?
Also, Best Genist is missing a lung. But also think about how many things that like Bakugo does that are actually like high skill for. Because Bakugo's quirk in of itself is a high skilled quirk. People look at it as he's got explosion, so it's OP, but it's more complicated than that. Because when he's using it for flight, he's constantly having to adjust the amount of force values, the angles. He has to factor in his trajectories, time it right. He's not doing like a sustained flight thing. He's literally manually doing all these adjustments.
All right. Then compare Best Genist with his what was Best Genist again? A plus with Uraraka, who has B minus B plus AB, which again, almost as good, if not better, than Best Genist in terms of a set. This is what you have
to understand.
It doesn't make sense in my eyes.
But there's two things about this. There's two things about this. One, the data books don't actually make that much sense in terms of their stats in a lot of areas. Right. It is what it is on that. And the second thing is you're looking at it for the statistics, but the problem is the statistics don't really matter at the end of the day, because it's also about the quirk itself, the nature of the quirk itself. Because Erotica has those like similar stats, but do you think that it's gonna really make much of a difference if she was fighting him? Not really. She'll what's she gonna do? She gonna touch him, and make him float? Cool. Then they'll just fucking grab her and restrict their movement so she can't fucking bring him back down.
Then what does, for example, give Uraraka a better power state than Hawks? Hawks is not power based, of course, but it's just.
So
hold on.
I actually have an explanation.
He's trying to say something.
This is my thing of just taking it like with a grain of salt, not going like betting on your banks on it, because even if they do say these stats, it's like, okay, let's say Endeavor is S, right? SP, and Bakugo's like an A plus. It's like, well, technically it would be like, okay, maybe Bakugo could somewhat match Endeavor, but we know that's for a fact. Endeavor will blast a nigga away, and Bakugo could never keep up. Not at this point. So I feel like we take it for a grain of salt. It's a good reference point slightly, but when we get like too literal with it, because even with, no matter what these matchups say, we know who's beating who when it comes down to it.
I mean, look at this. Meto Shoji has the same power ranking as the Ultra Archive, not the Ultra Analysis Endeavor. It makes no sense.
The Ultra Analysis.
They don't make that much sense.
But also, here's the thing. When you talk about Uraraka having more power than a bird, it's important to remember that your physiology is also impacted by your quirk, which means that Hawks probably has lighter bones, is in general like he's really skinny. He's not built. He specifically denotes that he's not a power type. Whereas Uraraka, her quirk is making things like way less, but she still also has to work out, get strong and focus on that. So she's more focused on her actual body. So she probably does like bench as much or more than Hawks. So for like raw physicality and power, yeah, she probably is like a little bit stronger than him, because she's a 16-year-old girl in puberty who's working out and like specializing in martial arts, and he's a bird man. Yes, he's fast. Yes, he's precise, but he's still a bird. So, and like the thing is that when you're good enough and you've got like the knowledge and the experience gap, and your quirk is, one that Hawks is, it doesn't matter if somebody necessarily has more power than you, you're still going to beat him every time. Hawks still has all the feathers that she can't deal with. The matchup still is heavily in his favor. And she can't compete with his speed. Like, she's not going to be able to like react in time. All right. We've been discussing a lot of stuff and doing a lot of like pulling up stats. I need to read the chat because I'm a little behind. All right. Let's see. No, Florian came through. Yeah. Hawks is basically Aizawa with wings. That's a good way to put it. We look at the stats. You should separate this into that is something that I considered, because somebody mentioned also if you just like separate, like these are student stats versus hero stats, but I actually think that they work if you're paying, like as long as you keep every matchup in context when they like fought on screen or whatever, it ends up making sense, but you have to have full blown context. Like Tokoyami's power is only like B minus, but that might only be his physical power and not evaluating the power of
Dark Shadow.
Yeah.
Because we know Dark Shadow is strong as hell.
Those are Tokoyami's stats, not Dark Shadow's. Let's see, what did he have? Yeah, in Ultra Analysis, he's got like a B plus in power. His speed is an A minus, and then his technique and intelligence are still C's, which still tracks because he's not necessarily smart because he had to be told how to fly as a bird, and he's still, working out a relationship with Dark Shadow, so that automatically makes his technique questionable because they have to get along and agree.
Yeah.
So that's less about like how good he is and more about whether or not Dark Shadow and him are having good communication.
I think that Dark Shadow is actually sentient. It has his own like thought process.
Yeah, like Dark Shadow cries, Dark Shadow asks for peace, Dark Shadow does what Dark Shadow wants to. Bro,
Yeah.
What do you think?
I can't wait till we get to the point where Tokoyami and Dark Shadow are unison and they can fight in the dark together, fully.
We speaking about my GOAT, the best boy.
So you're saying
boy?
You want to see Mech Fighter Tokoyami?
You want to see who?
Mech Fighter Tokoyami, where he just like puts on Dark Shadow like it's a mech because it's at full power.
Dude, that would be dope.
It's like
that would be dope.
Because that would be Black Ankh, but like full power, basically.
Yeah.
Nah, they ain't ready for all that. Please, they don't need it. The GOAT showing out like that. Please, y'all ain't ready for it.
One thing I'm really waiting for is just, I don't know how this fight is going to happen. I don't know who's going to be fighting with him. But the Kirishima versus Giganto is going to be one of the best fights in the series.
Mina definitely.
If that happens, it's probably going to be him and Mina.
Yeah. But if it's just Kirishima by himself, that would be dope.
I don't see how the fuck that's going to happen. Then he can't fight.
But we don't know how strong Kirishima is going to be as an adult.
I don't know how to imagine that fight in any way.
That's what I'm saying, because he can't fight. That's the thing. So it's so I don't know how
he can't fight.
What is it?
So he do.
No, I'm saying Kirishima. His main role is defense. He can't fight.
Well,
he needs somebody to punch back.
Yeah, but his body is so strong that his hardening is so strong that it counts as attack power as well.
I mean,
like I said.
I'm not sure if Yatamaki is going to fall over because he hit something very hard.
That boy gonna step on him like he a Lego.
But I'm saying that we don't know how strong Kirishima Quirk is going to get, is what I'm saying.
No, but
so far it's very defensive.
Remember the chapter all the kids flex their stuff? One of his new strengths he learned was breaking the enemy's will before they could break in the enemy's will immediately. That's one of the things he learned from Fat Gum, and it was strong. When all the kids were flexing their new stuff, he was like breaking the enemy's will immediately. You don't do that by just running somebody off the truck.
Well, my thing is, it's if you let's say you have a steel door, you hit it right, and it doesn't do it. It does nothing to the steel door. But the steel door finds a way to hit you back. It's still a steel door. That's what I'm saying. We don't know
Kirishima's issue isn't even that when people say Kirishima can't fight, they're talking about how when Gavo pulled up on him, he swung his fist, just missed, and easily got handled. You know what I mean? That's what they mean by Kirishima can't fight. And it's a good thing to hold against him because he straight up got called out because he's so used to just being a wall that he doesn't actually know how to initiate the combat properly. So yeah.
This is Kid Kirishima that y'all I'm looking at in the future, how strong he is as an adult. I'm not looking at right now. Like right now, yeah, he can't do a damn thing. Yeah, he's like just in the defense wall. But I'm thinking
Bros
of
can't even touch that motherfucker.
I'm thinking about the possibilities of him in the future, and if like he actually gets like, substantial power ups.
That man getting launched by Bakugo as a missile. We already had the foreshadowing.
Wow, yeah. That would be cool.
Wait,
Yo,
Bobby
that-
Shmurda getting out?
When,
Sorry.
huh? He was
I
gonna
just
When
saw
this happening?
Hold up. I'll look into it later. We don't need to worry about Bobby
Damn,
Shmurda right now.
6'9" on live. Bobby Shmurda getting out. Damn.
Finally some positivity in the year.
I don't know. We just gave somebody cancer.
Hmm? What are you talking about?
Somebody just said the ultra analysis gave them cancer.
Oh. I've never even looked at it, so I don't pay attention to stuff like that.
Look,
Ooh.
Like I said, I'm like I'm not hearing about data books.
Nah, that's too late.
no, like that makes sense. Like, it is.
Let's stop.
Who vacuuming?
I don't know.
But let's stop holding Kirishima in the series. We don't know how powerful he get off of his base alone. Not to mention,
I think that's East background. East. You
Yeah.
can't hear you, bro.
East, you're really far away.
Somebody's vacuuming in your background, East.
It's coming into the foreground.
That's what I'm him now.
Can you hear me?
Not really. You're so low.
What?
It's like someone's vacuuming, bro.
Yeah, there's like a vacuum in your background.
Hello?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
All right. Am I better now?
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah, I know. Oh, okay. No.
All right. Okay. No, look.
Kirishima.
Shoji's raw muscle power matching endeavors in the first book. Like, okay, says somebody wants to know why you have a problem with that because the dude can make like 8 arms.
Yeah, he can make like 8 arms, but I saw the stuff Endeavor survive, and that's just him physically falling through buildings and down the sky. I don't see Shoji surviving. It's just, sorry, this is a
We don't have-
16-year-old boy. He's not gonna survive that shit.
We don't have durability scaling though on anybody.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
but it's kind of physical. What's power about? To me,
That's-
power is about
Nobody
packing a
fucking,
punch. And we know
nobody
that.
fucking knows.
No, power is about giving the punch.
What is it really? Because there are other things like Todoroki. I don't think Todoroki could be like.
Well, it's about like
Yeah,
either
it's
giving
obviously
the punch.
also about the power of your quirk. Obviously, also that, because otherwise
But
Shoto
that-
wouldn't
that's
have
the
that
thing.
power ranking. Obviously,
There are
still.
other. I think there are other characters that actually make that a little bit more vague too, because it's like I can't remember what it is, but like yeah, like Hawks. Hawks' quirk is a B. That's kind of weird too.
I mean,
My
he's
power
not
is B.
like he's not buff. Like he himself says it.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
he's
he's
gonna
not-
fly.
He's not, but he has one. Well, what is it? With certain people, his quirk can just one shot them. So
Well,
I'm
yeah,
like,
'cause he can just stab you. Like
yeah, that's why it's weird that his is a B power. If it is about the power of your quirk, because that's also weird. Like it's too vague for it to really be an answer, because there are
The thing
other
is-
things that kind of like contradict each other.
I was until now very, very certain that power includes the sheer packing punch of your quirk as well, because Shoto has this high power ranking,
we can hear
for
you,
example. I'm pretty sure that it includes that. And I just
Is somebody talking? Anybody talking?
so I'm
Say
in
as
my
is.
mind I'm comparing a prominence burn versus Shoji, and it just doesn't add up.
I'm gonna catch y'all later.
all right. See you East.
All right, love y'all. Be safe.
So,
All
See ya.
love.
See ya. See ya.
Endeavor, but like the other thing is that in the second book that was adjusted anyway and gave Endeavor an S+. So
Yeah, right. But is it weird?
like the main Endeavor stat that I thought was odd was that his technique is only an A. Because I thought he was colder than that. That was the only stat in an Endeavors that threw me through a loop. Because I figured with the shit he was doing that, but at the same time, it's not like he consistently, like he just
still-
started flying. So
Yeah, he's still learning stuff, so
that's more over to remove his ceiling, I suppose.
It's just my feeling overall was that the rankings for the students were very generous. Like I compared them with the rankings for the heroes, and it just seemed like their rankings are more generous. It seemed to me. I mean, it might be wrong. It was just my impression from looking at it.
My thing is that the students have better quirks, right? Like a lot of them just straight up have better quirks than a lot of the pros we've seen.
Yeah, some, yeah.
So that's kind of how I look at it, is that it's more of a byproduct of the quirk singularity, because you got to think, like, Edshot's quirk is fold a body. Yes, he got really cold with it, and he can do it at the speed of sound.
Such a cool quirk.
But it's not like when people are talking about like what quirks they want to sign up for, when we're like, hey,
That's
create an MHA, like nobody's like fold a body. Yeah.
But I take fold a body. I love that quirk.
You would take fold a body, but if I asked you, what is your OC's quirk, what would it be?
I don't know, but I probably wouldn't be fold a body.
Look at people saying stuff like permeation or fucking like I'm like half hot, half cold.
Yeah, like nobody's gonna say Fiber Master or
Fiber Master. I can't see because I think Fiber Master, this string manipulation is somewhat very well liked quirk.
Okay, I like.
Is it really about the community? Because the community calls that man a bum every chance they get.
Yeah, best genius they call that, but I just feel like throughout many stories there are many people who have these string powers which are very cool, which I saw a lot of OCs, not necessarily My Hero Academia, but just throughout several stories that had string powers. So I can see people taking something like Fiber Master.
Well, string is one of my favorite anime trope weapons. It's just Fiber Master isn't a cold enough quirk.
it's like within this verse, I don't ever see anybody like talking like, oh man, his quirk is so fucking cool. No, they think he's whack. Most niggas think he's whack.
I understand what you mean.
And like, look at like Crust. Like Crust quirk is making shields. Like, yeah, he's got like the shield toss and he can make some defense, but like,
no, we're not gonna. I know where this is going.
I also wouldn't take half of the students' quirks. Like if I had a choice, I would not, for example, take Bakugo's quirk. That wouldn't be a quirk I would come up with, having explosive sweat. I mean, what kind of idea is that? It's super cool and it's super powerful, but it wouldn't be the kind of quirk I would come up for my OC.
Oh, of course, but I'm saying like if you look at how like a lot of our people here think, yeah, they'll take that in a heartbeat. I take that. That's raw.
Yeah, explosions raw as hell. Quirks.
Yeah, it's raw as fuck. Yeah, I see it. It's like
my point is
only like pro quirk I can think of that everybody would like unanimously think is like really fucking cool. Hellflame, because it's fire.
Yeah. And this isn't my normal Crust lander. My point is just that like a lot of the top 10 doesn't have super cool quirks.
Yeah, I understand that.
Like
I think that somebody's quirk that may have been extremely OP if they had the aspiration to be a hero is Izuku's mom.
Well, it's just like it's very limited. Like she can only move like small objects. It's very limited.
Okay, so but
it's like you give yourself a telekinesis quirk that really can only make things float that are as big as, I don't know, a cup of yogurt.
The way I look at it is that yes, basis that we first heard it, but how many quirks have we like fold the body, string manipulation? Like these things are so like limited, kind of like when you first hear about them, but then the way that they use them. So the first thing is like attracting small objects, but who knows like if she can eventually get to the point where she can do this? Who knows if she could push them then? Like because like look at the dude quirk from like I would say Vigilante. Like you have to be able like the way that people apply quirks and train them is such a huge thing to me, and that I think that her quirk would have actually been extremely powerful if she had the will and the wanting to be a hero.
Also,
so you're saying that she would have trained her quirk, it probably would have been stronger than it is.
Yeah, I don't think it like just by itself it's just like strong, but I'm saying if you train it, it has the potential to get to that point.
So it's kind of funny because you say that, and I'm like, even without like heavily training it, if you think about it, all she had to do was be like one of those weird rooftop heroes, and every time she saw a villain, she could pull them to her via their clothing or whatever.
Okay, yeah, all right.
And like as she's pulling them, just like let them go. Boom.
So basically, like Uraraka without touching them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could just like pull people into stuff. So like if she was like working with people, then you just like would be able to pull people into like flames, pull people into this or that, and stop them from escaping. Or like if somebody's trying to escape, you can just keep pulling them back. But
that's not gonna defeat them, right?
like she would always need help. She'd be a support
Yes,
hero.
I think if she was a hero, she'd be super useful in terms of rescuing. Super useful. In terms of
Also-
fighting, I think she'd just need something else.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That we don't know because I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure
sure.
when Best Jeans first got his quirk, nobody was like, "Yo, this shit is cold. He's gonna be like the number 3 hero." You know what I mean? And so it's just like,
Yeah.
Like-
at a certain point, you have to prioritize.
Yeah, but with that
just learning how to
argument, we
use
can
it.
just take any quirk because
There are
any
4
quirk
quirks.
is useful in some way.
There are 4 quirks in the top 10 that I could see people actually wanting because we know what they are. And that's Dragoon, Hydrokinesis,
Yep. Watch.
Arbor, and Hellflame. Those are the only.
Bunny. Miracles.
No. Nobody would
because
take bunny unless they really like rabbits. They're not gonna take.
the bunny quirk
Well, I'm not.
isn't one that people would gun for. It's one people would be okay with getting. The reason why I say that though is because all beast type quirks you have to train really hard to make them cool.
Yeah,
Whereas like Hellflame, Hydrokinesis,
Yeah, but I wouldn't
Dragoon,
take the bunny quirk even if
and
no.
Arbor, all you can kind of just be like, I'm the first Hokage.
Yeah. Yeah, but that said, I still think there are quite a few students' quirk that I wouldn't take if I had the choice. Like if I had a choice between no quirk and pop off.
I'm taking pop off every day.
Right?
Dude, I just feel like Mineta is the reason why his quirk isn't as good as it is. I just feel like there's so many applications you can use a Mineta quirk for. Maybe I'm just overhyping it. Maybe I don't know anything.
Then there's
But,
stuff like it's just Sugar Rush, for example, comes with so many drawbacks. It's just
Yeah, like it's like the guy whose quirk was my hair covers my eyes that laughed at Deku in the first episode. It's like, bro,
yeah.
his life is better.
Without a quirk, yours is with a quirk.
Pop off isn't a bad quirk. It's just
no, but it's not one I would choose if I had a choice to take any quirk, which I wouldn't take pop up. Pop up would be like place 100 on my list, and no.
Well, if I could choose any quirk, and if everyone in this world had quirks, I would definitely choose all for one. Also, because I'm just an evil person, and I would like to steal everybody's quirk.
wow.
Nah. I'd probably use copy. I find that so funny. It's like a cheap version of all for one.
The only issue with copy is that you can't like get power quirk, like the storing quirks, like all for one. I mean, one for all.
The issue with copy is really that at this point, I feel all the characters are evolving their quirks to a point where copying them would just be a cheap copy. So it has to do more than copy them, because he just copies them for like 5 minutes. He's not going to learn how to use his quirk in 5 minutes unless they are really, really easy to control. All these drawbacks that these quirks have, he's not going to be able to handle them if he takes, for example, I don't know, if he takes, for example, Aoyama's quirk, he's just going to lay there vomiting for the next 5 minutes because he's not used to that. So there has to be more to copy, I feel, because
I think that's the thing. I think that's the thing with Monoma that we don't like really talk about, is that because he uses so many different variations of quirks, his body is constantly being beat down and having to like deal with the backlash of all those quirks. So I think his body is actually stronger than we give him credit for.
Monoma was dodging 100% Black Whip.
Yeah, I could see that. It's true.
So
it's just but that's his physical. I just thought that.
I'm just saying that, like, we know, like, copy. Seriously, he said he got up to 10 minutes, right? My thing is that one of the things that I'm curious about is that if Monoma had, like, let's just say he had a piece of somebody's hair, could he just indefinitely refresh?
Oh, like he has store.
Yeah, like, let's just say he, like, had somebody, like, next to those watches, he had, like, somebody's hair behind him. Like, he just, like, stole Bakugo's hair one day, stuck it behind one of the watches, so he permanently had access to explosion because he was just constantly touching it. Because I could see him being kind of like Peter Petrelli from Heroes, where he thought he needed to be around people, but over time he was just able to copy their abilities. And if he like just spent enough time practicing. This nigga.
What's up,
This sleepy in my new house head ass. I'm busting out the purple rain tee, looking like Prince head ass. Big, I'm making music with my boys head ass. Big, I tried to downplay the chapter this week because I'm a hater head ass.
I didn't downplay the chapter. I didn't downplay the chapter. I did not. I actually read it. It was even better than what I originally thought. But niggas are saying this is the greatest chapter in My Hero ever, and that is crazy. That's what I would say. That's if you say that's downplaying, then I'll take that because that's not. This not the greatest chapter in My Hero.
I wouldn't put this as the absolute greatest chapter in My Hero for two reasons. One, I don't have a best chapter in My Hero. I'm gonna think about that. Two, I
can name a couple candidates.
Definitely like example. I think 239.
Why she left?
Sorry, it's just nothing.
236 is my personal favorite. That's the episode Shigaraki killed all his family members.
Yeah, like 236.
Which one is that? I don't have the chapter numbers in my head.
236 is the one where he kills everybody.
His family, yeah. That's my favorite chapter of all time.
And this chapter is really great because of that chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I can see, like Al Fatir is saying, I can see why people feel like they're like, yeah, this chapter is like the culmination. But like the thing is that this chapter can't be the greatest chapter of My Hero just off the fact that it's setting up.
Yes.
That's what
some insanity for these next. So like no matter how you feel, like if you feel like this chapter is the greatest chapter of My Hero, what you're really saying is next chapter is probably the best chapter of My Hero. People
are so ridiculous, bro. This can't even be the greatest chapter of this arc. This can't
because of what it's doing. Like its functional point doesn't allow it to be the best chapter. Unless you specifically were like, when I look at the chapters of My Hero that were definitively like setting up greatness, that was the best setup chapter.
I think the Twice chapter was better than this chapter.
Yeah,
the one where Twice died.
Where Twice died.
Oh yeah. That's another candidate for best chapter.
We got short memories in
the thing bro. Among the chapters in this very arc, it is only the best chapter among the chapters setting up the specific Shigaraki reveal.
Like if this is your
among the last 5 chapters, it's definitely the best chapter. The last 4 chapters, yes.
It's recency bias.
Yeah, like
niggas got short memory, bro.
Hell, even the honestly the chapter, especially because I saw the volume version of it, the chapter where they take down Ending. That's probably over this.
I love that. I mean, obviously.
Well, the thing is the volume version actually turns that panel where the 3 of them are like racing forward into a spread. So
yes, I've seen it.
It's glorious.
Yes, I love that chapter. That's kind of my reason. What my favorite chapters is often not objective. It's just my emotional investment, and my emotional investment in Shigaraki is not that high, if I'm honest. Like I don't particularly like him.
So your best chapter would probably be from Pro Hero arc.
No, I think my best chapter would be at this point the chapter you just mentioned with Ending. Because my emotional investment in the Enji Natsuo moment was up there. I mean, what did you expect, right? That's why I was laughing, right? Thinking about my favorite chapter, it has to be something where my emotional investment is very, very high. And
I think chapter 115 is up there too for me.
What's that?
Yeah, Twice backs. When we first got the whole chapter that was dedicated to Twice out of the blue.
Oh yeah, that was.
Yes, that was cool.
Like that
it wouldn't be my favorite chapter because it wouldn't be a chapter I would think of.
The way that chapter was executed is also what made it great. Because it was just like, we're talking about Twice. It's like, huh?
I'm still mad Twice.
You mean Deadpool?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I'm still mad Twice died.
I'm not mad.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm like story context wise, like I'm happy all this shit happened.
I'm still very much in denial, to be honest.
And like Twice is just one of my personal favorite characters. He's in my top 5. So I'm just like, damn, I really wanted more of Twice throughout the story.
Also controversial, but I think the Bakugo chapter in Joint Training could actually crack my top 10.
Where he got trended on Twitter?
Where he was like
he one-shot at everybody?
Yeah. But when he was like, you guys got to rescue me, that's actually like one of my favorite spreads in the entire series.
Horikoshi got a lot of great spreads.
Well, like one, it was just artistically good. Two, Bakugo straight up being like, "Yeah, save me." It was like that was like a good character moment, like being like, "Yeah, like you save me, I save you." Like that's how this gonna work. We gonna crush these niggas.
Yeah,
like especially because going into that, I remember I had watched the Joy Boy video where he said Bakugo, if the top 20, if Class 1A became the top 20 heroes right now, Bakugo would be like 9th. He can't use teamwork. And
that was like, so weird. People just ignore Bakugo's development all the time. It's like this whole time since 3 seasons in the manga and the anime back then, and so many chapters, we were just working on Bakugo, developing, becoming a bit kinder, becoming better with recognizing his teammates and classmates and actually using development. And every time he actually is involved in a fight, people just forget that he changed over time. It's weird.
It's not even just changing. We also understand in Bakugo more too, because we understand in certain ways that he is not really like how we thought it was. Like, oh, he's not doing that because he's an asshole. He's doing that because of such and such and such and such.
And like the thing is that makes that even more hilarious is that saying Bakugo has bad teamwork is mildly inaccurate. Bakugo had a bad attitude with the teamwork. Yes. But objectively, during the sports festival, raccoon eyes, put down some acid, tape arms, like.
Yeah, he was always knew how to use it. He just didn't particularly like it, I guess.
Bad communication.
Yeah, like he's always been able to like utilize his team effectively.
Yes.
And people people realize that he's the best person on the team, so they automatically just listen to him.
Yeah. Just, I don't know why. It's just like Bakugo's just social and also intelligence just gets permanently underestimated. Like people always say, like, yeah, Bakugo, he's like this powerful, straightforward fighter who just doesn't think while fighting, and it's just not true. Every time he fought, it was just.
It's like we were talking about when we were talking about the technique from the Ultra Analysis. It's like literally almost every step of combat for Bakugo requires extra thought.
But they showed that in the first 10 chapters. Remember when he was fighting Deku and Deku was saying how Bakugo was thinking and like the way he was moving? Like,
and Momo was like physics. like
yeah. So that's what people don't read My Hero. Like they don't at all.
You say this every week.
They read My Hero, but
they don't read My Hero.
Read My Hero at all.
Selective reading.
And that's the thing, that it's weird that people ignore things that would make the series more enjoyable for them while simultaneously asking for the exact things they're ignoring. It's just
it's hilarious. It's insane.
It's baffling. It's like
it's so weird. It just
I think it counts as like the textbook definition of insanity.
Big contradiction.
Like just living that in your brain forever. Like why? It don't even make you happy.
It's the best place to live. What you talking about?
Shit.
Or in somebody else's brain.
Living in somebody else's head rent free, great. Mm-hmm. Living in your own head.
And paying all the bills.
Nah, bro. That ain't it. Nah, we got. All right. I forgot to ask East this. What do you guys actually think is happening next chapter?
I have no idea. Death Carnage, I hope.
I think first, what's his name? X-Rays Less is gonna. I mean, I'm sorry, but
Cyclops dead.
I don't see him live. Maybe this next chapter, but he's not gonna survive the next 3 chapters in any case.
I think that we're gonna go away from Shigaraki next chapter.
It's possible. We've been there for a minute.
I think we are.
That was legitimately my first thought when I saw Present Mike running away from Shigaraki. I was like, oh, he's a bit more safe again.
You know,
I think we're gonna go back to the mansion.
I got a box in there for a minute.
Because when was the last time we saw Hawks? Like, what chapter was that?
I think it was like 3 or 4 chapters ago.
Yeah, it has to be at least 4.
Because I think, like, it's hard to tell because we've also had extra breaks due to, you know, Corona stuff. And
I think we had 3 chapters of getting up to this chapter now, I think.
Yeah, 267 was the Black Speech Bubble chapter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got 268 through 270 has been focused on Shigaraki.
We had 2 chapters?
Yeah, this is 268, 269, and 270.
It's 3 chapters, yeah.
That's 3 chapters. Damn, that's still, it just doesn't feel like that. Like everything that's going on.
Well, it's been a long time, yeah. And there's been a lot of stuff going on too.
And 265 was like the start of the Fat Gums agency stuff. So yeah, it's like we're getting like 3 chapters. So it was like 265, 266, 267, 3 chapters.
Completely forgot about Tokoyami.
We're basically getting 1 episode at a time. So like if we're looking at like 3 chapters as an episode, then yeah, we're probably cutting away. Especially with us finishing on Deku, we kind of got to get. It might be time for the MC to step in.
Step in and do what?
Man, I don't know.
No, please. No.
No, Deku. No, please, no Deku.
No, the thing is, I saw Shoto, and my thing is just the more Shoto gets involved, the higher the chance for Endeavor to die. So I was just like, oh shit, get Shoto out of the way. Okay, get Shoto out.
Endeavor, you better get your tears ready because Endeavor dying. It's hard. Get them tears ready. It's happening.
And
I need Miracle to die soon too. I ain't forgot about that, Horikoshi.
She may not die.
The fact that Bakugo's yelling at an old lady in that panel with Shoto.
Probably telling her that she's still healthy enough to go on her own.
Also, like,
read Bone Collection, everybody watching. Read Bone Collection.
I read
the 2 chapters out, right? Also, I didn't notice it when we got the first spread, but Shoto's outfit definitely looking more like Endeavor's now.
He finna be the new Endeavor
because he's got the chest thing.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, so Todoroki is not gonna get his hero name until Endeavor dies. Something about Endeavor's death is gonna birth his hero name.
I'm afraid of that too for a while now. Since he chose Shoto as his name, I was like, oh shit. Yep. It's like Ida and Ingenim all over again. No.
I don't want him to be Endeavor. I don't want his name to be Endeavor. Though. I want it to be something like
something.
Off of that. Yeah.
Inspired by it.
I don't know what her. Of course, she got cooking. It's gonna be dope. Though.
You know, it's gonna be something wild. Yeah. Just like I want him to name Flash Freeze, Heat Waves, Punk Hazard, but like.
That would be hilarious.
Oddly fitting, but
yeah.
I mean, perfect.
I think we have to get some Deku perspective. I don't know if we're gonna do like a full 3 chapters on Deku, but I think this next chapter is about to deal with more of the all for one for all lore setup and the duality between these two. So we kind of can't do that without Deku coming into the story.
Yeah, I think it would be just time to say where he actually is, because we didn't really have any of. I mean, at this point we see that they are apparently evacuating people, but we just need to see them do what they're doing.
You know what I can see? You know what I can see? Like while they're evacuating everybody, the chapter focuses on Deku, but like midway through the chapter, we just see like buildings start collapsing.
You mind the entire mountains there in the background just vanishing, just gone.
Yeah, that would be dope if we like saw like what Shigaraki was doing, but not actually been there. We've seen it from Deku's perspective.
Exactly.
And everyone's like, "What's going on over there, bro?" I would be like, "This is the greatest." Yo, I'm playing One Piece Power Word 4, and I can just say that Oda's fucking trash.
What?
Because I mean, because with the games, you get the full autonomy of like how like characters do moves and stuff, and it's like, but why can't Oda write these fights this good?
Oda's not an action guy, like really. That's why, and that's part of why NA's Lobbies is one of the most loved arcs, because it had like the best fights.
Yeah, that's that's funny to say. That's the part I'm playing right now in this lobby. I just believe Bluno
and Alabasta. Alabasta had good fights too.
I would never play a One Piece game.
Too. The thing, my favorite One Piece parts are not the fights. That's why I like, for example, Water 7 a lot more than I like Enies Lobby, because I just like the story a lot more. Do you understand?
Well,
not a lot, but a bit more, I think.
I don't mess with One Piece because of the fights, but I just feel like we just miss out on so much because we don't get the fights. You know what I mean?
It's a My Hero Academia stream.
Yeah.
Not bad.
How many flame squirks and how he get so yeah, because like burning, because like we saw somebody mentioned like they're kind of curious how many different fire quirks Horikoshi is actually going to introduce into the story, because he's managed to do it without it being excessive or boring. And I am curious as to like what Burnin, like how her quirk is going to like manifest or like what it's going to be.
But also, like, if you remember the that episode where they were doing like how the civilians felt about Endeavor, one of the dudes was like, yo, he has a fire quirk like me, so I want to back him up. Like I think that fire in itself is like not that uncommon of a quirk, but just the different ways that the fire quirks are used. Like, I don't think anyone has control like Hellfire.
Yeah, but Hellfire is just
Deku's dad has a fire quirk too, huh?
Yeah, he breathes fire.
Yeah, he breathes fire.
Yeah, I think Bakugo is technically also a fire quirk, I guess. I mean, it has ignition, which is
you could
not quite fire, but it is somewhat the right direction.
Yeah, it's like the combination of a fire and a wind quirk.
No.
Which is how I've always kind of looked at it, is like he's the in between Shoto and Yorashi.
The better version of both of them, because Shoto is garbage.
But I mean, that's obvious. I think there are a lot of different variations on the same power, because just by, I mean, if 80% of the population have it, if the population is as big as ours,
it has to have some repeats.
There have to be many, many repeats and the same quirks in different versions, and even the same quirks, just general, maybe.
Well, we saw somebody else have full body in the story too.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that quite a few people probably have invisibility, because it can't be that only Invisible Girl has invisibility.
Yeah, that doesn't strike me as one that would be rare.
And it doesn't get you anywhere if you just have half invisibility or just a version of invisibility. That would be, I mean, it would be stupid, right?
Yeah.
Like, I am not quite invisible, but I'm a bit transparent.
Like that, yeah. Like that's like the camo. Like that's like camo, and even then, like at that point, no. Like I would rather have camo that like matches the environment than mild transparency that makes me look like a fucking heat wave, or like somebody's like, oh, I'll just shoot that blurry spot, that smudge in front of the building. Burnin's hair is definitely on fire. Whether or not she like uses like the hair to fight or not is a whole other story.
I really want to see her animated. I think she's one of the characters I want to see animated the most.
Yeah. Also, Rex, what's your schedule like during the week?
From 9 to 2 Eastern Standard Time I work. After that, I'm free. And really, if we need something really important, maybe I can finesse not working.
Oh no, I don't need you to do that. I was thinking about adding Wednesday streams while this Corona stuff going on. Still.
Oh, I'm off Wednesdays. Actually.
So
no, nigga, I don't need you to do that.
No, Lulu, I want you.
Yeah, I know you do. I know you do.
Please give me a reason not to do any work. I'll be looking for a reason.
Well, because Shigaraki liked the rest of his family and having those memories back, he's like, yeah, like they were cool. That's why he's like, oh no, Hana, it's fine. Like, basically, the Shigaraki of today is like, I forgive you.
Yeah, I understand you was a kid, bro. Like, it ain't that deep.
I mean, which is kind of rich considering that he killed her.
Yeah, but he
didn't try.
I know, but it's kind of. I always find it weird when people say "I forgive you" to somebody who they hurt, be it willingly or not. Well, I just feel like he killed her, and whether he did it willingly or not, he should be the one apologizing, not the other way around. That's just how I feel.
Well, yeah, like, but he didn't even get the chance to within the hallucination. Well, he kind of did. He's like, whatever, like that. It's like whatever. He's kind of remembering like the last moments or like the last good moments he had with like specifically his sister and his mom.
Yeah, sure.
So it's like, it's kind of like his life flashing before his eyes, but at the same time not.
Yeah, the thing is, I just think I don't know how I feel. It feels to me like he doesn't feel properly guilty as he should. Which
he doesn't. He's never going to feel that guilt.
Right, and that's just what I take away from this. That they had this nice moment, and he did kind of like them because they were his family, and he did kind of love them. But he doesn't feel particularly bad for what he did to them.
Because after that whole chapter, Shigaraki being liberated, it would be kind of like backwards for him to start feeling guilt again, because he's liberated from all of that. All this stuff was weighing him down. So even though some people may not understand it, it's just like all this stuff is he left behind him.
Yeah, sure. It's just why I don't really feel that much sympathy for him in that page because it's just
you're not
it's missing for me.
We're not sympathetic as Shigaraki.
I am.
Yeah,
Shit.
all right.
He's been through a lot.
Okay, let me rephrase it. It's not so much that we're like, oh, poor baby, current Shigaraki. We feel like it's more like, damn, it's tragic that this is how you went. Go off, King.
How can you have mad sympathy for him? He had a quirk that he couldn't control, and it made him kill all his family. How could you not be?
I'm talking,
but
but that's sympathy for Tenko. That's not the same as sympathy for Shigaraki.
Right.
No, that's sympathy for. I got sympathy for Shigaraki. He didn't want to kill any of them. He was watching them die, and he was the cause of it. He realized it, and he couldn't do nothing about it.
Yeah, but I never saw the proper
Tenko.
guilt and shame and whatever.
You mean his actual name?
He killed them and then he rolled with it, which of course he was traumatized by it, and I get that.
He didn't roll with it.
He wandered the streets as an orphan.
Okay, that was sure. That was
he didn't go. He didn't go grab a bite to eat and see a movie after. He didn't roll with it. Like what?
Yeah, you made it sound like Homeboy was like, all right, now that I killed my father, I'm gonna go pick up a number 3, and ooh, those shoes just came in. Like
now, who I don't have sympathy for is Endeavor. That's who I don't have sympathy for.
Oh, definitely
no sympathy for Endeavor.
Like she quiet now.
He's not a character you're supposed to be sympathetic for. You're more always supposed to be like, all right, you fucked up, bro. What you gonna do about it?
And I felt like I never did anything about it. And that's my problem in a way. The thing is, I somewhat feel, how can I say this? It's the same thing with many of the villains, I think they went to villainy and way overboard, and that this way overboard is just, I'm not sure, but often in fiction it's like they get this sad backstory, and then it's not like everything they did is not bad anymore, but there's like this understanding of, oh, that's why. And of course that's why, but with
Shigaraki,
it's just not enough.
With Shigaraki, there's the biological aspect, because ultimately quirks are the villains of the story, kind of.
Mm.
Yeah, it's true.
It's not like, for example, like Kokushibo from K&Y or Dopey, where I feel like these are two people who had the option to move past their problems and just chose not to. Whereas this is a person who more or less had his problems fostered and biologically is like wired to be a destructive force. So he would require a lot of conditioning, arguably like straight up quirk removal in order to become stabilized. So that's what makes it, and like he's the perfect villain for the context of the story, like from a narrative and thematic angle. Even if you don't necessarily like him as a person, he does perfectly encapsulate what the series is about.
Yeah, sure.
And Dustin actually hopped in the chair. Look at that. This is the first stream you've been in a chair in I don't know how long.
I gotta make a phone call in a minute. So that's why I just prop up and get ready.
You out here like laid out like you trying to seduce the women that come and watch the stream.
Nah.
He is, bro.
This man be out here like
Dustin been on his player shit recently.
No, I haven't.
He like it's been a long time. Fuck right now. Don't do that. Man. That's off of Dustin's mixtape. Your girl loves our ladies.
Don't shameless plug. Shameless plug, man.
I'm shamelessly plugging you.
I hate. Go find it on your own. Discover it on your own. This is my hero, baby.
No, don't you know? I'm gonna have somebody edit a video. Like I'm gonna have your whole mixtape in the background for like 40 minutes. Let's just do a whole video on why niggas don't read My Hero even though they read it.
You a funny guy, man. You are hilarious. Should do stand up.
I considered it.
Oh man.
When open mic night comes back, I'll let you know how it goes, Dustin.
Shout at Gravity Boys, chill. Y'all need to read Bone Collection for real though. Second chapter was good too.
Gravity Boys is amazing, bro.
Somebody else besides Rex saying something good about a Gravity Boys? Goddamn.
All right. You still haven't read it, Anki, so that's all I know.
That's Rex Burner. Everybody.
I'm just saying, like, you're the first person besides, like, this person is the first person besides you that I've heard be like, the Gravity Boys, peep it.
Well, most people just like have this like stigma on it, like, oh, it's boys and
Why did we get him? So why did you get him started? Rex going.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
I'm saying, bro.
Hold up. We're gonna throw away that at Gravity Boys because this is another thing that is worth pointing out. When the doctor saw how strong Shigar's quirk was, he knew his theory was right. If you think about it, previously the doctor said, I've only been living for the boy. And then, like this chapter, we emphasize the fact that Quirk singularity theory, his life's work to that point was thrown away and disregarded by society. So when we say AFO legitimately cares because of all these petty reasons, but also because, like, hey, fuck it, like he actually grew attached to the kid. You got to realize that, like, Shigaraki is making Shigaraki have all for one, giving him the enhancements. This is the ultimate "I told you so."
I still think it's bullshit. I don't trust it.
Like the doctor and AFO are just like two petty niggas that have just been riding deep for decades.
I don't trust it. I don't trust them niggas that just doing this. I don't trust it.
It's not even like it's basically a scientist being like, no, my life's work is more important than anything. So like he had like AFO has like the selfish reasons to do it, like, and he's getting back at All Might. He's still fucking everything over. You got the doctor who's got his reasons. They laughed at Quirk singularity. Now look at them literally dying to Quirk singularity, like this person who's gone beyond like the limits of what quirks like are supposed to be able to handle, to upgrade the future of humanity. And then you got like, fuck it, like we've been raising this kid for 15 years. They're both kind of attached to him. It all tracks.
Yeah.
So I know it. That's what when everything tracks, I don't trust it.
So everything tracks with Dobby.
Makes sense.
You trust
yeah.
All right.
Well, it's one thing. It's one thing for a thing that's tracking. It's one thing that's just like that's just dumb shit. Like Dobby not being Toya is just dumb. That's just dumb. It's just dumb. Sorry. Especially after the black speech book. Like, come on, my nigga. Like, what's up with you, bro? Honestly.
Yeah, Dobby not being Toya would be dumb, but I don't see the connection to Shigaraki now.
What she said?
She said Dobby not being Toya would be dumb. I don't see the connection to Shigaraki.
What connection?
No, because Dustin was like, okay.
Now I understand what she was saying. She don't understand what we talking about. Is that right?
Basically, I think what she's saying is she doesn't understand why you made that comparison to the Dobby estate. Why Rex made that comparison.
Why is a bunch of men speaking for her? She's not even talking.
No, because Dustin was like, when things connect and seem too well or whatever, I start not believing. I was like, so, but everything's connected with Dobby being Toya, but you believe that?
All right,
it's kind of a contradiction.
Yeah, but nigga, that's him not being Toya is just dumb.
Yeah, okay. No, I get it.
Like
people saying they doing this for Shigaraki, they care for him, they want to be a successor, and these are the two evilest niggas we've came across in the series. It just don't make sense to me. I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I especially am skeptical because it's just, why does he suddenly start caring for the grandson of his greatest enemy? That part
was just him being petty. But like actually,
that was him being petty. But then he starts caring about that kid he just took into.
Well, the whole he's gonna have to have a successor thing. I think
and then he picked Shigaraki knowing that he was such and such a grandchild.
He picked him. He picked him early and was like, "I'm gonna mold him into a successor anyway." But then, like, here's the thing: even if he didn't care in the first 10 years, after All Might punched the top of his hairline off and his eyes away, this still gives you like another 5 years where he could have been bonded and actually developed real connection.
Let me tell you this: if All for One doesn't die, every year that goes by, he's still alive. The more so, I don't trust that.
And that's fair. That's fair.
If he's not, because he has no reason to be in the story unless he's going to do some. I want to use Shigaraki to get the quirk I could never get, so I could sweep in and take it at the end.
That's kind of my thing. The thing is, I just like you. I don't believe they actually care about him emotionally, that they love him or anything. I can't. Maybe yes. I don't know. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I just don't believe it.
It's just me too. I can't believe it. But I do think that they would give him the quirk, and that they would make him the successor. Actually, make the successor just to spite All Might, and just because they are so petty.
And we got confirmation they're not immortal.
And they're not immortal, right? Maybe time is just running out. He needs a successor, so why not choose that kid nobody likes, but just to kick All Might when he's down? In a way.
Bless you.
Good, I see. Because, like we were talking about earlier, Dustin, you weren't in here, but we found out that that's not even an immortality quirk that he's got. It's just one that doubles his lifespan.
Yeah.
So, like, that too is a reason, like,
hey, I gotta go. Thanks for having me.
Hey, see you. Make that phone call.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said earlier, he basically had a midlife crisis at like 100. So it is what it is. But I actually need to kind of get shit done too. We're at over 2 hours anyway. So we're going to wrap this up real quick. Final thoughts. Rex, go get your final piece. Push your agenda, whatever you got to do.
A great chapter. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. I can't wait for what happens next. I think that regardless of how it happens, I think that next chapter we're not going to get Shigaraki. If we do, I would be really happy. I want us to stick with Shigaraki, but I just feel like storytelling and the way I've seen shown in manga just happen, we may go away from him. But where we're going now, Shigaraki is about to body niggas, and it's about to be amazing. And please read Gravity Boys.
Says
I like the chapter. I think artistically, just from the art, it was probably the best chapter in not forever, but in a few weeks now. It's better than the rest. Just these panels with Shigaraki just dissolving his family, it was great. And I think I would probably give it a 9 too. Yes.
All right. So yeah, I'm coming away with a 9 out of 10 as well. Don't forget, guys, or I don't know if I mentioned it, we got AniTubeCon going on next month, June 5th and 6th. A bunch of us got together on a collaborative project, so we're doing a coronavirus support con. I'll be hosting the My Hero Academia panel along with Kid Otaku and one other person whose name escapes me at the moment. So make sure you guys are around to check that out. I probably should have mentioned that at the beginning of the stream. Oh, well. Well, you guys have a wonderful day. Aniki and the gang out.
See ya.
And broadcast.